Muy buenos días a todos ustedes, muy buenos días a mi mujer también, que se está despertando con esta suculenta voz del tío Salo. Espero estén teniendo un gran día. Oigan, les quiero recomendar algo antes de empezar esto con toda seriedad. Si están pensando en vivir más allá de los 40 años, tal vez, tal vez no. Tal vez no sea ideal. Ayer fui al evento de Tesla. Quiero platicar rápido con ustedes de esto antes de entrar al casino del tío Salo, donde saben que vamos a analizar todo el mercado, tablas, todo lo que ustedes nos digan acá en el canal de YouTube, como de que no. Pero ayer fui al evento de Tesla donde presentaron al Cybercab, ¿no? El nuevo taxi autónomo de Tesla, y también presentaron el Robovan, que es ese como camioncito eléctrico que parece del futuro, y también tuvieron a los Optimus. Y tengo que decir, normalmente antes de todos estos eventos, y se los dije 1000 veces, el precio de Tesla siempre hace tope como 1 o 2 semanas antes de los eventos. Es muy sencillo, es la regla número uno, y que vamos a aprender todos y paso a paso, ¿no? Vamos a ir aprendiendo más y más y más. Es cuando alguien te da una idea y pone una narrativa fuera sobre algo que es buena, ¿no? Que te hace, que empieza a hacer que el precio suba. Normalmente se encuentra con la realidad, y la realidad es cuando todo el mundo vende. ¿Por qué? Porque si yo te digo, güey, voy a crear una empresa que puede hacer todo esto con robots y va a tener inteligencia artificial y va a cambiar la manera en la que nos movemos, en la manera en la que interactuamos, la manera en la que contratamos gente, etcétera, pues en tu cabeza tú vas a poner el mejor escenario que te parezca de acuerdo a ti, porque no te lo estoy poniendo enfrente. Una cosa que me enseñaron mucho, y esto es simplemente para que aprendamos en inversiones cómo sacarle el mejor rendimiento a todo. Una cosa que aprendí, ¿no? Haciendo películas es nunca, cuando una película tiene algo icónico, ponte tú que están hable y hable de una pintura que es la mejor pintura del mundo, ¿no? No te la enseñan. Lo que hacen en las películas es básicamente te dicen, este dibujo que estoy yo viendo atrás de este papel tiene la información más importante del planeta. Y si dejo que alguien más lo lea, puede que todo el planeta caiga y colapse. Entonces, no te voy a enseñar la parte de atrás, y toda vez que lo ves en la película, lo están pasando, la gente lo ve y es de, pero no te lo enseñan. ¿Por qué hacen eso? Porque tu cabeza es mucho más grande en cuanto a inventar ideas, ¿no? Y darte, ¿cómo se dice? Básicamente desarrollar dentro de ti los mejores escenarios, o lo que creas sea más grande que existe. Entonces, al hacer esto, todo el mundo está poniendo en su cabeza ciertas expectativas que tienen. Y pueden ser no realistas, pueden ser realistas. Hay gente que lo hace bien, hay gente que lo hace mal. Déjenme checar una cosa rapidísimo. Asegurarme que mi sonido esté pasando por donde tiene que pasar. También debería de invitar a Farhan y Alex a esto. Eh, Total, les ando contando esta tontería. Cuando te haces tú a la idea de todo esto, vas a tener expectativas que no tienen una realidad, no tienen congruencia con la realidad. Y creo que vivimos también en una época donde todos nos sentimos que merecemos todo ya, donde no existe la paciencia, la hemos eliminado por... y una de las cosas que he aprendido mientras más ruco me vuelvo es paciencia, porque te ayuda muchísimo en muchísimas diferentes cosas. Hay veces que quieres ir y tomar todo lo que dices y voy a ir a correr con esto, pero a veces si te esperas y lo haces bien y dejas que la cosa se desarrolle como se tiene que desarrollar, los resultados son mucho mejores, siempre que forzándolos. No estoy diciendo que eso no tenga nada que ver con la ejecución de estas ideas, pero en cuanto se refiere a paciencia de oportunidad, a esperar, es como en una pelea. Si estás peleando y estás soltando chingadazos todo el tiempo, ¿cuándo vas a tener la entrada para pegar bien? Pero si te estás defendiendo y te basas en defensa, 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 y te esperas y estás viendo que cada que te tira a la derecha, abre la quijada y se pone para arriba. ¿Qué vas a hacer? Vas a esperar pacientemente a que te tire una de esas derechas y le vas a ganar el madrazo justamente para tirarlo. Y es un poco de lo mismo que tenemos que ver en la vida. Güey, el mejor chiste que he visto de todo esto fue un comediante que justamente cuando habían puesto recientemente Wi-Fi en los aviones, dijo, güey, es impresionante cómo nos sentimos que merecemos todo en este instante y lo poco que somos pacientes. Estaba en un avión que tenía Wi-Fi y todo el público hace, wow. Sí, El avión tenía Wi-Fi, hay internet en el avión. Yo sé que para muchos de ustedes no están tan rucos como el tío Salo y se les hace normal, pero cuando empezaron a poner Wi-Fi en los aviones fue de qué locura. No podías hacer nada en un avión antes más que ver esas películas malísimas que te daban. Entonces, este güey se dice, me subí al avión, prenden el Wi-Fi, todo el mundo está mamado por 20 minutos y a los 20 minutos el capitán anuncia, damas y caballeros, tenemos un problema con el Wi-Fi, por lo que no lo vas a poder usar por el resto del vuelo. Y todo el mundo se emputó. O sea, ya instantáneamente esta tecnología que es extremadamente nueva, que apenas te acaban de dar, ya te la mereces y es una desgracia todo esto que pasó y ahora te arruinaron el vuelo. Es un poco lo que estamos viendo acá con Tesla. Ahora, ¿qué tal estuvo el evento? El evento estuvo de huevos. Lo primero que fuimos en locación, fuimos al backlot de Warner Brothers, que es el estudio, obviamente, Warner Brothers, y el backlot es donde hacen películas. Son los sets que tienen ya prehechos, donde hacen ciudades y cambian las fachadas de las caras de los edificios, etcétera, para grabar estas películas. Entonces, lo organizó ahí, me cagué también, por cierto, no literalmente, pero cuando llegué súper temprano porque dije, güey, me quiero estacionar, no sé qué. Vi una cola para estacionarme y dije, no voy a hacer eso. Antes yo iba a la escuela por ahí en Warner Brothers, entonces, cuando recién me cambié a Los Ángeles, entonces me sé la zona bastante bien y dije, güey, me voy a estacionar acá para poder salir en chinga también, no quiero preocuparme de nada. Perfecto. Entonces me estacioné en un lugar perfecto y dije, no tengo nada que hacer y no sé si vieron mis historias en Instagram, entonces dije, me voy a reventar un bongazo antes de ir al evento. Me reviento un bongazo instantáneamente, me dan ganas de hacer pipí. Y yo, no, ahora tengo que ir a no sé dónde para hacer pipí. Me tomó 30 minutos de ida y 30 minutos de vuelta y ya cuando llegué era tarde. Entonces, caminando hacia el estudio, vi una cola de gente gigantesca pasando en una luz y yo me quedé del lado izquierdo donde nadie quería caminar. No sé por qué, pero yo me quedé del lado donde nadie quería caminar. Entonces, seguí caminando, llegué hasta la puerta y en cuanto llego a la puerta me doy cuenta, estoy en un semáforo y para adelante hay una cola gigantesca, pero dentro de en la calle en la que estoy. Y por atrás del otro lado hay una cola aún más grande que va hasta un estacionamiento y empieza a dar vueltas. Me ponen la luz verde, el guardia me hace así, camino y literalmente me meto en la cola, pero dije, güey, no me estoy metiendo en la cola, es literalmente de donde vengo. En cuanto me formé, me di cuenta, porque el güey de adelante se emputó, ¿no? Porque pues, me metí. Entonces me meto en la cola y empieza a caminar la fila y un amigo me escribe y me dice, güey, acabo de llegar, ¿dónde estás? Pero no le podía contestar por teléfono dónde estaba y lo que había hecho, porque si le decía, la gente se iba a enojar aún más. Entonces no quise contestar el teléfono y le mando un mensaje de texto y le digo, güey, quédate del lado izquierdo de la calle, no vayas al derecho, va a ser un error. Me vuelve a marcar. No le puedo decir por qué, porque si le digo, me van a escuchar todos de que así es como me metí a la cola. Entonces el güey tuvo que hacer una cola, le tomó como 2 horas poder entrar a donde yo ya estaba. El alcohol, güey, hicieron unas margaritas buenísimas y también unos negronis buenísimos. La comida, brutal. Tenían, güey, sándwiches de pollo, de barbecue, pero todo súper. He ido, cuando voy a eventos de Fórmula, esto me duele mucho decirlo, vas a eventos de Fórmula 1, te gastas una fortuna en un boleto para entrar a los paddocks y todo esto y tener una suite VIP. La comida normalmente en esos eventos es pésima. Le dije esto también a los de Ferrari Clienti, porque es de, güey, ¿cómo puedes traer a la gente más rica del mundo y tener comida de mierda que les estás dando? Ahora Ferrari Clienti les da a comer a sus clientes, pero y en Fórmula 1 no vas a también una carrera de IndyCar y es la mierda que te dan en el buffet, ¿no? Pero aquí, señor Elon Musk se lució. Entonces, el evento buenísimo, muy buena música, se atrasó porque alguien le estaba dando un infarto o algo junto al escenario, vinieron los bomberos, nadie se dio cuenta, más que cuando vimos el camión de bomberos y todos creímos que era como parte de, ¿no? ¿A poco van a hacer que este camión de bomberos se maneje solo? Fue lo primero que pensamos todos. Salió Elon, nunca había visto a Elon en persona. Salió Elon, empezó a platicar y solamente para resumirle los robots, anunció que el robotaxi va a salir en el 2027, que en el 2025 van a empezar van a empezar una vez que la regulación apruebe el modelo 3 y el modelo Y a ser autónomos, van a poder manejarse en Texas y en Los Ángeles solitos. También dijo que puedes comprar el robotaxi por menos de $30,000 cuando todo se dé, por lo que probablemente al principio vaya a costar más, como el Cybertruck, y después vaya a bajar de precio, que esto es algo más que a la gente le va a volar la cabeza cuando pase, porque no importa cuántas veces lo han visto con Tesla, va a venir la misma queja. La otra cosa que sacó también fue el RoboVan, que está de no mames, la van está gigantesca. Y sacaron a los Optimus, a los robots a caminar enfrente de todos nosotros. Mucha gente está viendo los videos de cómo la gente estaba platicando con los robots. Estoy 99.9% seguro que eran personas que los estaban controlando de una distancia. Lo loco de esto es lo bien que saben dónde están, cómo pueden maniobrarse enfrente de la gente. Güey, estaban enfrente de nosotros, caminando, se paraban, saludaban a la gente, te hacían así, hacías piedra, papel, tijera con él, platicabas. La movilidad del robot es otra cosa. Y ahí es donde te das cuenta, güey, ¿por qué mierdas tienes que contratar a alguien en el futuro? Just one second, boys, I'm sorry. ¿Por qué mierdas tienes que contratar a alguien en el futuro cuando por $30,000 vas a poder comprar un robot? Y le estaba dando este ejemplo ahorita a Alex y a Farhan, estábamos platicando en el chat, y les dije, güey, si le pagas a alguien $2,500 al mes, que es imposible porque nadie puede sobrevivir con eso, son $30,000 al año. Literalmente haces que un empleado que ganara $2,500 al mes lo puedes tener para el resto de tu vida sin que te cueste más. Nunca se va a quejar, nunca va a llorar, no te va a decir que qué pedo. Es una locura cómo va a cambiar todo esto. Pero en general, cosas muy buenas. El problema, y por lo que les quiero enseñar rápidamente Tesla, por lo que está sufriendo en este momento, y pueden verlo en este potente velazo hacia abajo, son expectativas, es la gente. Es la gente teniendo expectativas completamente ridículas. Pudimos ver que estábamos acá y ahora estábamos cayendo, y estás hablando de una caída del $250 hasta los 217 en este momento. Ahorita vamos a analizar con Alex y con Farhan todo esto, pero les quiero enseñar eso, que una vez que ves la realidad, que ves robots caminando, que ves una nueva camioneta que nadie más tiene, una vez que ves tecnología que nadie más puede ejecutar, que te están diciendo que ya va a salir, no era lo que yo me imaginaba. Oigan, si no puedes ni satisfacer a tu mujer, y no digo sexualmente, ¿no? Porque eso igual y puedes, igual y no, pero si no puedes tener solamente a tu mujer contenta, ¿cómo esperas tener a todos tus accionistas contentos? Y esto es algo que yo quería hace mucho tiempo, antes de irme. Abrí una compañía pública y dije, güey, no puede ser tan horrible manejar los sentimientos de la gente. Es lo peor del mundo. Es lo peor del mundo, lo peor, lo peor, lo peor, lo peor, pobre Elon Musk. Pero eso sí, si Trump gana, serías un tonto en no meterle todo lo que puedas a algo como Tesla. Así que, porque Elon va a ser el presidente de Estados Unidos y va a tener el derecho a hacer lo que sea. Sin más ni más, nos vamos al casino del tío Salo. Ya saben que si quieren unirse al casino, los invitamos a unirse al Discord con nosotros. Acompáñenos, está en la descripción del video también. Ya saben, a los miembros del canal de YouTube, todo lo que nos pongan acá, díganos qué tabla quieren ver. Vamos a ir una por persona y vamos a darle también. Acompáñenos al Discord para aprender también a tradear con nosotros y también para que les demos pues, las señales correctas, ¿no? Señores, enfrente de un mercado que no deja de sorprender a todo el mundo. Vénganse, dense una vuelta, es absolutamente gratis, descripciones por acá. Sin más ni más, vamos a empezar el casino del tío Salo, donde platicamos en inglés y al final yo les traduzco el análisis a español. Ok, sin más ni más, voy a traer a estos tíos y vámonos, damas y caballeros. Alrighty, boys, we did it.
Good morning. How you doing? Tell me about that event.
Dude, that's literally what I just talked in Spanish with everyone, but absolutely, it was insane. It was insane. Like the fact, come on. And by the way, I love that you're seeing the Tesla price come down.
Yeah.
So hard today. And this is what I was telling people. We're so entitled to like now. We don't want to wait for anything. We need the gratification right now. And the example that I was giving people is someone made a joke, a comedian, when Wi-Fi started getting on planes. Dude, you guys fucking were born not that long ago. But to me, the first time I saw Wi-Fi on a plane, I was like, what?
Yeah, she was insane.
Fuck, right?
It was like, a little slow at first, but
a little. I mean, homie, you could barely text. Yeah. You could barely text,
but at least you were getting connection.
This is what I'm saying. I was on a fucking plane and I got Wi-Fi. I could talk to other people while on a plane. And this guy was saying that the first time he got on a plane that had Wi-Fi, The plane takes off. They start using Wi-Fi. 20 minutes. Everyone's really happy. And then they announce, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have to interrupt our Wi-Fi service. We're having a little trouble with the technology. So they had to like stop it. And everyone on the plane acted like they were entitled to that Wi-Fi and that they had been entitled for of course, it doesn't work. This fucking thing. It's brand new technology, dude. What the fuck do you want from it? Like, it just started, dude. You had it for 20 minutes on a plane. That was crazy enough to begin with. But people were so upset about that. And it's kind of like the same thing that you see with stocks, and especially company announcements, because you build up in your head this crazy idea of everything that you're expecting, right? So in your head, whatever's in your head, this is why reading books is so much better than watching the movie, right? And this is why you should never read a book before watching a movie, in my opinion, because your brain will make it the best for you. As you read and you start printing shit in your brain, everything becomes so much greater because it's you imagining it. And then when you see someone else imagining it and and doing an execution of it, which is a directed film, you're like, well, this wasn't that good. Yeah, no shit. You had your fucking limitless imagination to compare it to. And then this guy actually had a budget to deal with, you motherfucker, and logistics, and also studio executives to deal with. And it's kind of like what we're seeing with Tesla right now. Dude, the fact that there were fucking robots walking amongst all of us. The robot has insane special awareness. Like,
Imagine
from
just
people
Hector's in a costume.
But and that was my first thought, because legitimately I'm watching them walk around. I'm like, this has to be people inside of them. But then you look at like the parts that connect them, and you're like, no, there's no one. That's how crazy this was. Okay. And even after people saw that, these robots doing like rock, paper, scissors with people, talking to people,
serving drinks too. I think
they were pouring drinks. Yeah, you could go to the bar and get a drink from the fucking robot.
Alex, don't do that hand symbol again, or somebody will clip it.
I for sure. So the robot's also serving you. The robot is also entertaining you. It's dancing. Like, they have like this routine and this schedule that they're performing. And people were like, nah, that's not going to be ready yet. So fuck this. Like, what the fuck? What the fuck?
They're expecting Elon to be like, pre-order start next week.
Yeah, like, and even then, people would be like, "Oh, I gotta wait till next week. Let's drop this fucking stock price." The robot, the cyber cab is awesome. Like, it looks great in pictures and in video, but dude, in person, it kind of looks like a classy Speedtail type of like car. It looks so good, so good. I was fucking blown away by it, and also the big the Robovan.
Yeah.
Dude, that shit is cool as fuck. Imagine like just taking your boys, like you want to go somewhere, and it's like, dude, it's like 9 of us. We're gonna go through a party. We're gonna drive from here to Vegas, and it's gonna be like we're gonna pregame the whole way.
Crack a couple Modelos in the back.
Come on, dude. Come on. What else do these fucking people want? And now the fucking share price went to shit. So
Did they give you guys rides?
Because
they
I truly believe that the robot technology is going to be like super evolutionary in the technology field, and just for humans. We as humans, unfortunately, like slavery. Like,
well, it's very useful.
Recent times, like we've just now like kind of gotten out of that. But for like the dawn of man, there's always been slaves. So it's funny to see that come back, but just in like robots and like technology, which is, I mean, morally fine to me. And it's kind of cool because, who likes to pick up dog shit or cook when you can just have your robot do it? Or like what we were talking about in the morning, a business can justify buying a robot once and paying $30K than paying an employee every single year $30,000, where it's, actually performance kind of is volatile up and down, whereas a robot, it's very, however you want it to perform, it'll perform.
And you can use it for more hours. And he doesn't complain. He doesn't need food. He doesn't have feelings. He doesn't have a wife. He doesn't have kids that he's driving it crazy.
Robots, so you can just work it 20 until it dies, essentially. So,
well, there's one downside. The downside is that whenever the AI and the robots take over, they're gonna remember that.
Oh yeah, just like an iRobot.
I'm gonna treat him really well, by the way, and I'm gonna watch iRobot tonight with Belen because she hasn't seen it.
I haven't seen it either.
Really? Wow.
Dude,
Wow.
the Robovan, like there's another one, like one in iRobot that carries the robots. There's the Cybercab, which is the car that everyone drives, like straight up. It's like out of iRobot. And then there's Optimus, which is also the robot from iRobot. Like,
Yeah, I gotta watch this movie.
like you gotta watch it today. It's fucking awesome. Like now that it's fresh right now and that you saw this, we're all gonna die. Like there's no doubt we're all gonna die.
100%.
All right, you boys excited? Ready to see some charts?
Let's do it.
Always.
First
So,
one, Rivian.
Why,
Yeah.
why do you think Tesla is going down now? Is it, did they miss on something? Is it just because people aren't liking how long? I think he mentioned
It's always the same.
26. I see, just a pump into it. Just
Yeah.
stop.
It
My
always
theory-
works because Tesla is a company that promotes, and not only promotes, but develops also brand new technology and brand new ways of executing things. So every time you do that, people's brains just fucking swell up with ideas. And then when reality hits, it's not as good as what they had in their head every single time. And this is something I said before, that whenever Tesla is actually going to do the event, the shit's going to go down. It normally peaks like a week or two before.
Mhm. And just basic human psychology. Everybody buys into it, hoping that some big release is going to happen. And then as soon as some people start selling, it's an avalanche of selling.
It's like NFTs, dude. NFTs is the greatest example for trading in the history of the world. You have an NFT project, and then you release the NFTs, whatever, and then you tell people, we have an announcement on Friday. And everyone's like, fuck yeah. It starts pumping. The prices start to go up. Everyone's buying it. Everyone's really happy and excited because it's going up. And everyone's telling each other that we're here for the technology, not just for the price. And then comes Friday and you're like, all right, we're doing a partnership with Red Bull. And everyone's like, that's it? A partnership with Red Bull? I thought this was going to suck my dick or something like, and then the price drops. Everything works kind of like an NFT drop. It's crazy.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. So we got, all right, this is nice. Who wants to do Rivian? And then afterwards we got Bitcoin. So I know that'll be the two of you.
Yeah, I can do Rivian.
And I like that we start with Rivian, that the guys were like, dude, is this gonna fucking, the question is, can you please look at Rivian? And I have a question. If Trump wins, do you think Elon, I know that you said that Elon Musk's companies are gonna go up, but do you think Rivian could also go up? Yes, because they're gonna do easy money. They're doing it already.
I consider Tesla to be like the ship that lifts all boats.
Absolutely. And that's how it works. Tesla is Bitcoin, Rivian is Solana now, and Lucid is kind of like a shit coin.
What's Fisker?
Fisker is non-existent. What, name any shit
Rug
coin
pull?
that doesn't, yeah,
Rug
name anything. That's a rug pull. That's what that is.
Cool. Cool.
Where we at? 1027. Not bad.
All right, cool. So Rivian, it's doing exactly what we talked about, and that's just, we just want this consolidation. It's easy for us now to kind of know what the level it needs to hold, and for me that's $10.05, $10.06, and so far it's holding. We talked about, on this day when we were rallying up to the daily EMA 9, most likely it's going to reject there. We mentioned this because of the fact that we actually haven't officially tapped it since breaking down here in September 20th. So it made a lot of sense to kind of range, front run it. The moment we did actually rally into it, we can see we put in this almost like top handle, or at least just major rejection. Something we talked about. It didn't surprise me to go and test this $10 again. And that's kind of what we got. The difference here now is it's actually holding still. We didn't even wick below the $10. And for now, it is just consolidating, which is exactly what we want to see. I think the 2-day view is a lot more nicer, and this is something I'm talking about. I think we should be mindful of, if we do end up breaking back above, I do think this 2-day EMA 9 is going to be strong resistance. It's at a nice psychological level at this point, right around $11 flat. And I do think this will be a big level. If we can break back above here, to me, I have an easy target back to $12.30. That's a major level for Rivian. We know that because on the weekly here, we see that 9 perfectly is coming in right in that $12 zone. This will be strong resistance. If history has told us anything, it's when Rivian does start making bearish moves and breaking down. Oftentimes, if we just go back to the history of it, this 9 usually acts as strong resistance on the weekly. And so now, since we've broken down and we even rejected from the 9 here, this now is technically resistance until proven otherwise. And so that's why I do think if we do break back and maybe get a 2-day closure back above $11, call it, then $12.30, $12.10 is the next zone for me, which is going to be a big one. Overall, Rivian this $12.30 is a pretty massive zone for Rivian. And so breaking down, basing here at $10 and maybe coming back up to test this really wouldn't surprise me. There's really nothing happening on BBWP. It's starting to contract on the weekly, which is a welcoming sign. But really, all eyes on this daily. This daily could be giving another setup. And this is something I was mentioning when we were up here. Bull's best case is consolidation, right? Something like this, where we just keep almost rejecting the 9. But what this is doing is it's making the 9 come nicely down. And even this daily EMA 100 now closer to $12.30. From where it was when we looked at this a few days ago. And so consolidation will honestly reset this BBWP on the daily. And then this could give bulls the upper hand to actually start reclaiming some of these moving averages that it broke away from. Potentially from the reset, this could give us a nice move to $12.30, assuming we don't break down. And so far we haven't. We're still holding. A nice metric for me is the 2-day, and you could front run it on the daily, of course. I think the 2-day that would be nicer. It's more conservative approach, and that's just simply if we start reclaiming that EMA 9, that'll be the first good sign. The second sign for me will be actually reclaiming this 21, this EMA 21. This has been a pretty nice rejection zone along with this 34 here. Doing that probably gets us to this 100, this daily EMA 100. Assuming we don't reject there. Now, we easily could rally up and even wick in one day, on one candle, I should say, easily wick up to this $12.80 before falling back below like $12. So that is something to be mindful of. That is something Alejandro talked about with Rivian. He's watched this longer than I have. And that's these impulses. Oftentimes when we get these long, dragged out downside moves, you always get these big impulses up. Usually they're unsustainable with Rivian. So, for me, I would be looking at this zone here as a potential place for a spring, kind of like what we saw here where, it was kind of just basing at $10 and then we saw a nice shoot up, hitting that $12.30 before rejecting. Something I'll be watching out for is that. But overall, Rivian is just consolidating. There's really not much to talk about other than you just want this $10.06, $10.05 level to hold, and really be mindful of this weekly EMA 9, because as history has shown us, this is a pretty strong area of resistance. And currently, luckily for us, that is coming in right with the meme line resistance. And so that is kind of something we should have in the back of our head, along with this monthly here. We really have, from losing it back in August, we've essentially been rejecting this monthly 9 pretty heavily. I know people like looking at the EMA 5, so I'm actually interested to see kind of where that'll line up. Let me set that on my chart. You just go to indicators. Let me just switch this here to 5. With the videos I was making, I switched all my moving averages. So
you're all fucking messed up. Yeah.
Yeah. Fuck. Okay, cool. I'll just make this white, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so what we can see here, though, and this is kind of nice, is if you prefer the EMA 5 on a monthly, it's nice that it's coming in exactly where that weekly EMA 9 is, which is right in that $12.10 level. So what I'm gathering from this is this $12.30 resistance zone is going to be a massive one. Any rallies up to this point, I have to view this as massive resistance. But if we actually start reclaiming it, and this is something I was talking about, where if we can actually get some closures back above, call it $13 and what was it, $13.60, $13.70. To me, that would be a really good sign. You could even front run it if we start reclaiming this daily EMA 100. This daily EMA 100, a pretty big level for Rivian. It really doesn't like to stay above it. And when it does start reclaiming it, big moves actually happen from this point. And so if we actually start reclaiming this daily EMA 100, it actually increases the chances of us easily breaking through this. If we do easily break through this $13.70 region, gives me a nice move to $15 and like 20 cents. It's still easy, nice trade, which is a conservative one as well. That will give you 11%. So, at this point, if you're bullish on Rivian, nothing's changed in what I've been saying. You want consolidation here. Ideally, it happens for a week or two, maybe 3. And then from there, that'll get the moving averages more down. And then it can at least increase the likelihood of actually it's breaking above, if not testing this weekly 9 again. But until then, and as long as we're still holding this $10.06, $10.07, this consolidation could be looked at as bullish. We just wanted to keep holding this zone while letting that daily BBWP reset, giving us potentially, unconfirmed yet, but this could potentially be giving us another setup similar to what we had here. We just want the BBWP to actually start contracting more and us to actually hold this mean line support. If it does, and we actually start reclaiming these moving averages with BBWP expanding, it just gives me more confidence that we'll probably test this zone. I also remember, this daily SMA 200 is coming in nicely right around that EMA 100. So that's kind of nice for us because we know that this is basically this SMA 200 correlated with this EMA 100. If we only just view that right now, we basically can see it's pretty strong resistance, especially in this chop here. This last retest of this EMA 100 was right before we basically rejected and broke down. And so this is telling me that, again, that this area, this $12, maybe even all the way to $13 on a wick basis is going to be very strong resistance. We have daily, 2-day, weekly, monthly resistance all around here in this zone. So that is something I would be really aware of, along with, we technically still do have this 2-day silver cross, which is still valid. So that is something to be mindful of. And we haven't actually tested this 9 yet, the first rejection zone in the silver cross. So we'd have to look at this 2-day 9. That's why I mentioned, if we start reclaiming this 2-day 9, this gives me more confidence that we probably do test this $12.30, which is nicely lining up with this EMA 21, which would be the second point of the silver cross to reject. So overall, nothing's changed. You want consolidation. You want this moving averages to come down to potentially give us a move. At this point here, it'll be really key. Do we reject and try to form a higher low maybe to go up? Or do we actually start reclaiming to give us that 13 and 80 cent dollar move, which would be pretty key for me. Getting back above there would mean that we're fully back above that daily SMA 200, along with that EMA 100 right now. So that would be pretty bullish to me, a good sign. It's just more waiting to see where kind of bulls want to take this. But, even if we're on a meme line right now, bears still have control. And this dump was pretty damaging. So like the only hopium right now is just this meme line we have with not a lot of data associated with it. That's why we really want to start seeing consolidation. We want to start seeing these moving averages kind of base out, let BBWP reset, and then maybe we start actually reclaiming this EMA 9 on the daily. That could be a front runnable event to the 2-day reclaiming the 9. Once that 2-day does reclaim the EMA 9, that'll look pretty good. Then we can actually test this $12 zone. So just be mindful. I mean, if we don't hold this $10 zone, big move down. My next zone is that $8 zone. Which from there would be a pretty sizable dump from what we already have had. So that is just something to be mindful of, because what we wouldn't want is BBWP to start resetting, especially on the daily, and then we start breaking down while still rejecting this daily 9, giving us that expansion, very much like what we saw here, where this led to a nice 18% move down. So that's kind of all I see on Rivian right now. Higher time frames have resistance and confluence with the weekly, monthly, and even that 2 days. So something to be mindful of. It makes it pretty easy though, because you kind of know the levels once it starts reclaiming where you can get bullish on Rivian. But until then, if you're bullish, you just want consolidation. And that's kind of what we're getting now.
Yeah, kind of let that volatility fucking reset go Like get those EMAs really nice and tight and then get the big move towards the upside, hopefully, and not towards the downside. Although I think there's going to be more downside still. But we'll see. We'll see.
Especially when you view it on the 6 months. It looks horrid. One of the disgusting charts. So and the quarterly BBWP's at extremes and curving down, telling me that this quarter probably, either we just massively consolidate or we actually do start coming down.
Yeah.
Right. So, but overall, $10 and $10 to $12.30, still a nice trade. From there, though, we easily could massively reject, just form another lower high on like the monthly, which is something we've been seeing for many, many months now in Rivian. So
yeah, for
a
sure.
good way to make some money if you see a bearish setup and are a pretty large holder of the stock is you can sell calls. And you get to collect the premium off of those, and then when the calls expire, you get all of your shares back.
Yeah, if it goes your way.
That's just free money.
Yeah, absolutely. But we're not going to tell people to fucking get in double trouble right now, Farhan. Like, let's start by one, which is don't fuck this up and trade this wrong. And then we can get into the latest.
You gotta get the direction right first.
Yeah, exactly.
I've been fucked on options. I tried to learn them a few years ago when I was 18. I spent like 20, 30K trying to learn them. Did not learn them, and they're very hard. Then I find out futures. I started, I always knew about futures, but compared to options,
no, you can't
so much easier. Way.
The main benefit is that they're perpetual futures, so they never expire.
Yeah, thank God.
But perpetual futures are not legal in the United States.
Sadly.
But you can, avert that.
They enjoy the volatility that non-perpetual shit brings, right? Like expiration dates and all that stuff.
Yeah.
They do like it.
Because of the expiration dates, most people get fucked on options, so most people don't make any money.
Well,
you can't have people making money, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because they know people have already figured out how to fucking trade, and they're like, well, how about this? How about we include timing in it? It's like, come on. Yeah. I already got everything else down, you motherfucker. Why timing?
You can even get the direction right, but you can get fucked based on your timing.
On timing. Yeah, absolutely, dude. Absolutely. I mean, that's obviously what they're going for. So let's enjoy that market. All righty. We'll come back to BTC. I'll do Rivian right now in español.
Cool.
Vale, pues estamos viendo Rivian. Aquí muchos de ustedes están preguntando, sobre todo Carlos pregunta, hola tío, ¿puedes revisar Rivian? Por favor, tengo una pregunta. ¿Crees que si gana Trump, además de subir las empresas de Elon Musk, que es correcto, creo que es algo que va a pasar, subirán derivadas como Rivian? Sí. ¿Por qué? Porque son en la misma clase. ¿Y por qué estás viendo Rivian tú? Solamente piensa en eso psicológicamente. ¿Por qué quieres invertir en Rivian tú? Porque lo que quieres es agarrar el Tesla antes de que Tesla haya tenido ese putazo a la alza. ¿Cuánta gente no está intentando hacer lo mismo o intentará hacer lo mismo que tú? Eso es psicología de mercado. Más allá de eso, si están dándole ahorita en el 2025 la aprobación a Elon Musk de poner sus robotaxis a manejarse solos, etcétera, ¿qué te hace pensar que Rivian no va a hacer exactamente lo mismo? ¿Le van a dar los mismos permisos, etcétera? Entonces, sí, definitivamente, si a Tesla le va bien con esto, a Rivian también le va bien con esto. Ahora, las armadoras tradicionales puede que también les den todos estos permisos, pero el problema de las armadoras tradicionales es su modus operandum, cómo funcionan. Eso quiere decir Ford con todas las agencias que tiene y toda la gente, las veces que tienen que vender un vehículo y la poca cantidad de margen que tienen en realidad de ganancia. Eso es uno. Dos, la cantidad de empleos, de empleados que tienen. Esa es otra gran pérdida. Y tres, la velocidad a la que se mueven. No puedes compararte con los demás. Personalmente, y lo he dicho, pienso que todos ellos van a quebrar. No van a poder competir con el modelo de no agencias. Están intentando cambiarlo, pero están haciéndolo muy lentamente para que no los demanden y la gente que tiene agencias no se dé cuenta. Suena ridículo, pero es cierto. Ok, estamos viendo Rivian en este momento. Rivian está cotizando en 10.37. Los tengo en la tabla de 2 días. Podemos ver que venimos un pico local en 18.90 cuando todos nos fuimos a Valhalla. Y de ahí ha estado cayendo sin parar. Y estamos de vuelta el día de hoy en la mañana. Visitamos los 10.08 centavos y ahorita tenemos un zampompazo hasta los 10.37. En la diaria, se los voy a poner rápidamente así. Yo tengo esta línea meme, esta diagonal dibujada que parece la está respetando bastante bien. Cosa que me preocupa es esta vela de acá. Es una vela de tope y tuviste una confirmación acá. Si el precio el día de hoy no cierra arriba de 10.38, voy a seguir esperando a que ranguemos si es que no caemos a un nivel más para abajo. Ahora, cuando ponemos nuestros promedios, puedes ver algo bastante sencillo de entender. Cuando todos los promedios están así de abiertos, eso quiere decir que no va a haber un movimiento potente en contra del precio. Nunca pasa. Normalmente eso pasa cuando cuando se aprietan varios promedios y lo puedes ver acá, lo puedes ver acá, lo puedes ver hasta en caídas, como acá, como cayó. Entonces lo que tienes que esperar es que se resetee básicamente toda esta volatilidad y que empiece a bajar todo y que todo lo veas junto. Eso es lo que te da una probabilidad más grande a un movimiento que sigue, para arriba o para abajo, no sabemos. Pero sí sabemos esto. Cuando estamos viendo que tienes un cruce plateado a la baja en la diaria, sabemos que el 9, que es este azul, este promedio azul, lo quieres usar para apostar en contra de, entonces a la baja, porque es simplemente un retesteo. Una vez que rompes acá y vas para arriba y no te da una desviación falsa, y no te da una desviación falsa, puedes sentirte cómodo para que esto se ha revertido y el movimiento va en el otro lado. Pero por ahorita no has visto eso. Por ahorita sigues para acá abajo y tu mejor escenario es poder consolidar en este momento. Sí, puedes venir a retestar el 9, pero esto es lo que tú quieres. Si eres alcista en Rivian, quieres esperar y empezar a consolidar por acá para que todos estos promedios los cargues para abajo y eventualmente los tengas todos acá y cuando rompas a la alza te apoyes en ellos y puedas seguir subiendo. Pero por ahora todavía no tenemos esa consolidación, aunque acaba de empezar. Y personalmente, como lo veo, esto tiene que caer más porque todavía no hay dinero fácil, los préstamos todavía no bajan de precio, los márgenes todavía están castigados, todavía no hay nada que estén sacando que los ponga en algún otro lado, etcétera. Entonces, no me voy a meter yo en este trade todavía pensando que los $10 van a aguantar y me van a llevar al cielo. Sobre todo cuando lo ves en diferentes temporalidades, puedes ver que lo lejos que están los promedios. El 9 cayó bajo el 21 en la semanal. Eso nos da una indicación de debilidad en el precio. Siempre recuerden eso. Pero la confluencia de promedios por acá, digamos, en la de 2 días, nos hace pensar que tranquilamente podríamos tener un movimiento a la zona de $12, $12 con 30 centavos. Personalmente, yo vería eso como otra oportunidad para tirarle para abajo, porque no creo que a la primera lo vaya a romper y se vaya a ir a Valhalla, ¿no? De ahí los voy a llevar rápido a la de 2 semanas antes de ir a Bitcoin. Y pueden ver cómo ahí tenemos confluencia con también el promedio de las 9, los 12.28, que también es normalmente algo que vienes a retestear, te tira a retestear. Entonces, si ves un zampompazo a los 12, que sería bueno, ¿no? Si le metiste a los 10, existe la posibilidad de que vayas a los 12. Yo no jugaría eso, yo jugaría más la apuesta en contra, porque todavía no cambias la tendencia. Lo único que vas a ir a hacer es testear algo y recuerda, cuando lo testeas por primera vez, normalmente te rechaza. Entonces, estamos viendo un poco de eso en Rivian en este momento, sobre todo en la mensual, en todo puedes ver que todo sigue muy, muy, muy arriba, todos los promedios, y eso nos da una señal de que a mí personalmente, yo como lo veo va a hacer esto, y ya acá se va a agarrar y va a poder trepar una vez más. Igual y no, también recuerden que cuando algo se está poniendo barato, todos nos ponemos de ya va a bajar más y me voy a esperar. Igual y estoy mal, pero por ahora no veo cómo una empresa de autos le va a ir bien con un consumidor débil, con malos márgenes, con malas entregas, con menor productividad porque están creando menos coches. Me cuesta trabajo y todavía de nuevo, por más que la gente sepa para adelante y que les digas y todo, nadie escucha nada, nadie puede ver para adelante, no sé por qué carajos, pero lo que va a pasar es, una vez que anuncien que Rivian no va a poder hacer dinero en el cuarto de este año, que es lo que había prometido RJ, el CEO, probablemente tenga un impacto negativo con la acción. Vale, pues, vámonos a Bitcoin. Bitcoin. You boys having fun with your Bitcoin? God, what a great trade. Huh?
The best Bitcoins in the world. We're going to have more Bitcoins than anyone in the world. We're going to mine them. We're going to buy them. We're going to steal them.
We're going to use Biden's corpse to produce heat in order to mine Bitcoin. It's going to be great. People are going to love their Bitcoin.
All right, let me share my chart.
NVIDIA is still looking good too. Almost to 140. Implications for risk on. I'm curious
I
Bitcoin looks too. I haven't looked at it in a day.
I think
Yeah.
Bitcoin has a lot of sexy things going on right now, but I think it has a high chance of just being a rejection right now. It actually short this at the moment, and then my invalidation would be 62,550.
So what I like to see right now on Bitcoin, I'm going to start with the daily on my momentum chart, is that we swept the liquidity below all of these lows right here, and we went all the way down to the liquidity down here. But the daily still closed above 60K and it still maintained all of these lows. So technically, this would be a swing failure pattern, and now we're getting expansion towards the upside. What I want to see is a close over this 21 EMA, which is right around 61, like say 61,800, which also lines up with this. The daily momentum pivot to turn momentum back up for the daily is right around 61,800. So this would be a close over this 21 EMA. This would turn momentum back towards the upside, and it would be another rejection of the bearish control zone. That, in my opinion, would be enough to get us easily at the very least up to these previous rejective highs, right around 64,400. At that point, we'd be above the 200 SMA again, and this volatility will start ticking back up again as well, and we'd have more of a probability of continuing upwards and onwards towards the upside rather than reversing and going back down. And also, let's switch over to the weekly chart. On the weekly right now, we're getting the same thing as before, where we're sweeping the liquidity below, and we're currently still above the previous candle's low. And we have about 2 days and 10 hours to go, so we haven't closed yet. But if we do, we're going to confirm that same type of swing failure pattern on the weekly as well. And we would very likely get the same type of expansion towards the upside that we're seeing with the daily right now. And also the momentum pivot on the weekly is significantly below price action right now. It's at $55,100 and let's say $15. And as long as price is above that, weekly momentum is towards the upside. And weekly takes a lot more precedence than the daily, but the daily will also turn up as long as prices above current prices right now. So that would be the weekly and the daily in agreement with each other that the overall momentum is still towards the upside. Check the monthly right now, and the monthly was a perfect test of this 9 EMA once again. After we have reclaimed the 9 EMA, and since we actually haven't even lost it in the whole monthly uptrend, we have not lost the 9 EMA. As long as we usually keep 9 EMA, the uptrend is still intact. So for every single time that we've tested down to the 9 EMA, we've ended up closing above it. We made a green candle above it on the last monthly closure. Now we tested down to it perfectly. And the monthly momentum pivot is 65,820. So monthly momentum is still down, but we have about 20 days and 10 hours to go. If we do close above this number, this will take monthly momentum back up, and it will be a rejection of getting kicked out of the bullish critical zone, which will have some implications towards the upside of us going significantly higher from here. Let's switch to the HPDR chart. And the HPDR tells you it clearly as well, where we tested all the way down towards this bottom 50% area. But on the last close, we maintained the blue 38.2%. On this one, we opened below it, and now we're getting an expansive candle towards the upside, and we're currently above this 38.2%, which is at about $60,760. As long as we close over that, we have a statistical probability of continuing towards the upside towards at least 62,572. But more likely all the way up to 64,885, which would be above those previous rejected highs, like we were talking about on the daily chart, on the momentum chart. Our HPDR momentum is starting to flip back up towards the upside, while volatility is going down, which currently gives us a statistical probability of hitting the median. Right now, the median sits at 62,572. If we hit the median and the volatility starts ticking up, then we have more of a probability of hitting this top 38.2% to this 50%, which is once again that 64,885 number to all the way up to maybe $65,900 to $66,000 if this volatility starts ticking back up as well. Let's go to the weekly on HPDR. On the weekly HPDR bands, we tested basically exactly down to this 38.2%. And now we're getting a massive support there. We're getting a good amount of buying interest. As long as we maintain this 38.2% on the weekly, which is 60,550, next like if this does close red, we have a high probability of coming back to test it again, but it will also very likely once again hold as support, and we have a probability of going from there to the median, which right now the median is at $68,360. Let's check Tether dominance real quick. We'll actually do the monthly, see where the monthly went down to. The monthly on the HPDR went and tested right down to the 61.8%, which as long as if we keep holding this area, we have a probability of coming back to this 50%, which right now is at $70,300. Let's check the Tether dominance. All right, so right now Tether dominance is still being rejected by the 21 EMA, but it's also still above the median, which is at 5.37%. As long as it is closing above the median, we would have a probability of coming back up towards this 38.2%, which is right now at 7.3%. And our HPDR momentum is pointed up right now, while volatility is pointed down, which gives us a statistical probability of testing the median, which we've already done so far. Our low for this candle is just about 2.002% over the median, which is good enough as a test for the median. And but we're still projecting the 21. So as long as we're below the 21 but above the median, we have a probability of going higher chance of going towards this side than we do of this side. And our jewel is also still curved upwards and giving us this light blue cyan posturing. And we're about to exit. We are currently exiting the bearish control zone. The last time on the monthly that we exited the bearish control zone was never. Interesting.
What?
Yeah, we don't have enough data to populate on the jewel to ever give us before leaving the bearish control zone. Quarterly on Tether dominance still looks quite bullish, where we're still above this 5 EMA, and as long as we're above the 5 EMA, we have a trending move towards the upside, and we have a probability of going up to the 78.6%, which is also at that 7% number. And 7% from here would be quite the dump on Bitcoin. And we're getting quarterly HPDR momentum flipping up as well, with the volatility flipping down, which is a statistical probability of the median, which is not going to be this number, but it's going to be somewhere close to this area right here. But right now, this number sits at around 18%.
Holy balls.
Right now on the weekly, momentum is resetting, while volatility is completely reset. And a momentum, HPDR momentum is still currently pointed towards the upside after it reset, while volatility is at 0. So if volatility starts ticking up from here, probability is momentum is towards the upside, and Tether dominance is going to get a very, very massive move up from here. And what we like to see is for the Tether bulls is that it's currently just below the median, right? And no, actually it's above the median. This one's the median. We're like 0.03%, 2% above the median currently, and if we close above that, we have that probability of coming back towards this top meme line right here, which is at that 7% number. Let's go towards the RSI. Let's do momentum for Tether dominance. I didn't look at that. Yeah, so monthly momentum on Tether dominance is still pointed very, very strongly towards the upside. It's pointed up as long as it's above 4.69%. Nice.
Nice.
I love it when it works out like that. Oh no, go back, bitch, go back. as long as we're above this number here, let's just say 4.7%. The momentum is pointed on the monthly towards the upside, and since we're turning up from these areas right here, bulls do have a lot more in the tank to continue to push it higher. So what's very likely is this number stays the same on this next monthly open, or it might even go down a little bit. And if it goes down, that's even more bullish for Tether than it's staying the same or going up. That would give us a probability of retesting these highs somewhere over here around like high 7s to maybe 9%. On the weekly momentum, I believe on the weekly momentum is still pointed towards the downside, which could give us a probability of or likelihood of this candle ending up closing red and making the top candle for us to come back down towards this bottom mean line at 5%. But what's also possible is since we're about to enter the bearish control zone, is that on the next weekly open, this number does go down a whole significant amount and it's below price action. And then at that point, it'll be much easier for bulls to push momentum back towards the upside. 5-day is also strongly towards the downside. 3-day is also is actually up. 3-day is freshly up for the past like 2 closures, and now we have 9 hours and 35 minutes to go, and it's still towards the upside as long as we're above 5.34%, and we're turning up from extreme lows as well. So as long as we're pointed up right here, and this number is below price action, we have a probability of coming towards this 200 SMA, which right now is at that 6.2% number. 2-day is also pointed pretty sharply up. Pivot is 5.51% to turn down. Right now, we're approaching support right here around this cluster of EMAs at the 200, the 21, the 9, and the 200 SMA. Very likely this area holds a support because of how many significant moving averages we have bunched up together. And the momentum pivot is up. The daily momentum pivot is also going to turn back up as long as we're above 5.65%. It's going to turn freshly back up while holding our major cluster of EMAs because we have the silver cross freshly to happen right here, and we're currently testing to the 21. So it wouldn't make sense to bounce right here, confirm this silver cross, and make our next move towards these previous highs right around mid 6% to like low 7% area. Check the RSI, and that would coincide with Bitcoin breaking below 60K, probably to be around like 54, 55K. All right, so Bitcoin weekly had that bullish divergence that we had a few weeks ago on the low of September 2nd, but it was invalidated after we made it a local top right around, what price was this? 65,643. We confirmed the local top. So the divergence was invalidated, but the RSI is currently flipped back up. It's finding support off of this neutral zone, which currently sits at 55,891. As long as we're above that, we do have a probability of coming towards this bullish control zone, but it's not like something you would trade off of. This is something that you use in confluence with your support and resistances in your other TA. But that bullish control zone right now sits at $70,000. We're getting volatility that is flipping down. We are below the moving average. So that tells you whatever move we're getting currently is going to be a corrective move. And right now what we're getting is a 2 consecutive red weekly candles, which volatility is telling you that is a corrective move. And we have our weekly VNP/Joule, which is still pointed towards the upside with this cyan coloring. And we have a closer that has already confirmed it. So this next weekly open, we're very likely going to be over this pink fast moving oscillator, moving towards this bullish control zone right up here. Monthly doesn't have anything. Three-day does have that, still have that confirmed hidden bearish divergence, which we confirmed on our close of $60,672. And we have 1, 2, 3 drives of hidden bearish divergence as well. We have hit the easy targets because we've hit the 9 EMA. And since we have multiple drives, it would be the lower EMA, which is the 9. We've hit that one, and we're finding support currently. We're finding a significant amount of support. But if this 9 EMA does not hold, our next statistical target would be this meme line and this 100 EMA. Probably going to go below the 100 a little bit and tap the meme line, which is currently at 56,522. And the 3-day VNP/Joule is curving over and it's giving us this dark blue cell color. 2-day also has confirmed a hidden bearish divergence, and we have a kind of a double top on the RSI. We've hit the easy target though. We've hit the 100 EMA. If we lose this though, we're very likely going to come back down, sweep these lows, and come towards the 200. Which right now the 200 is sitting around that $52,000 number, which would coincide with Tether dominance getting that move up towards 7%. The daily also confirms some nice regular bearish divergence, but now we're about to confirm a third drive of hidden bullish divergence, which will be confirmed as long as price is above 61,279. Which would right now we're significantly above that, and we're above the momentum pivot to turn daily back up. So if we confirm this third drive of hidden bullish divergence, that would give us a statistical probability of hitting somewhere around this high $66,000 number, like 66.5. And in my opinion, once we go to that area, we're very likely going to continue upwards and onwards back into the 70s and onwards from there. And this would be getting a RSI out of the bearish control zone as well. So then we would have a statistical target of hitting the middle zone and the bullish control zone, which the bullish control zone sits at $70,800. The one thing I also wanted to check was CME. Does CME have anything? Yeah, so CME 5-day also put in some confirmed regular bullish divergence, which is rejected the bearish control zone, and we're getting some of the lowest volatility we've ever seen on CME. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 periods of low volatility, which is 25 days of low volatility. And you have to remember, CME is closed on the weekends. So this is straight 25 days of weekdays of zero volatility. And we're still at 0%. So once we expand over this moving average, the moving average is at 1%, then we move towards 15%, it's going to confirm volatility expansion. And whichever direction momentum is pointed towards, so which currently momentum is pointed up as long as price is above $55,600, we have an 85% chance of a 35% move towards the direction of momentum, which currently is up. So we have an 85% chance of a 35% move from there. We don't have volatility expansion yet, so we don't know where to start the measurement from, but let's just start it from current price action and take us 35% up. That puts us at roughly somewhere around $83,000 to $84,000. Let's say $84,000. Yeah, about $84,000, which is a very similar number to what we have on the top end of the HPDR, around the 78.6% level, which is right around $85,000. Which is CME has a little bit of a premium over spot, so CME would be a little bit higher price than spot would be. 3-day, does we have it? 3-day, no. 3-day does. 2-day has 3 drives of hidden bearish divergence, but we are starting to invalidate it by finding support at this moving average. To lose it, we would have to lose the moving average, which right now sits at 60,241. So if we lose it, then the hidden bearish divergence would continue to play out, and we would come down towards the bearish control zone, which right now the bearish control zone is at 49,260. Then that would start a whole breakdown on Bitcoin, and we're probably going to go to low 40s, possibly below 40. But right now we're finding support, and also what we're getting on the RSI right here is we're getting this inverse head and shoulders, which would give us a statistical target of hitting this bullish critical zone. And right now, this number is going to change because this is a 2-day, and we're going to get a lot of closures before this plays out. But right now, this number is at $97,000. And the daily doesn't have anything. So as of right now, we did get a very nice move towards the downside on over the previous days on Bitcoin. We swept every previous liquidity below it. We closed above $60,000, which as of at this point, $60,000 has been holding this rock solid support. $60,000 right now seems like $25,000 back in summer and fall of 2023, right before we ended up breaking out in October and went straight to $73,000. And we're about to turn daily momentum back towards the upside. We have all of our high time frame momentums turned towards the upside, and we're about to put in the third drive of hidden bullish divergence on the RSI.
Simply staying above 61,200, right?
Yeah, 61,280.
280, perfect. That looks pretty good. I'll take it. I'll take the bull hopium. Thank you, sir, for feeding us that. Do you want to do yours, Alex, on Bitcoin?
Yeah. Nice. Yeah, I mean, so very much just like what Farin mentioned. I mean, if we go to the daily here, I have the same level. 61,300 is a pretty important level. And that also, we know that's an important level because it corresponds nicely with that daily EMA 100. Currently, though, as it stands, after the rejection of the daily SMA 200, Bitcoin's kind of been down and choppy. We know that we've lost the daily EMA 100. We closed and rejected it yesterday. Now we're wicking above it. We are above it now, unconfirmed unless we get a daily closure. You know, I'm more cautious here though, because actually, you know, we are hitting this 2-day EMA 9, and if you guys see closely here, you know, this has been a pretty big rejection point since Bitcoin lost it here in October 7th. We've rallied into that. Also, we're also now hitting that daily EMA 21. We actually haven't tested this since we basically massively broke down from it. Another point of resistance right now, along with also this 4-hour EMA 100. If we just look real closely, this 4-hour EMA 100 actually has been a pretty big resistance zone in this like chop. We can see once we reclaimed it, back tested it here, we got a nice move up. And then once we lost it, that's kind of when we broke down. We haven't tested it fully. It's at 62,100. I'd be looking at that zone as major resistance right now. Currently as it stands, Bitcoin to me is looking more bearish. The only reason why I'm not full bear yet is I need this weekly closure to actually close under the 9. Once that's done, that'll basically we'll basically have lost the 9 again, giving us just like another swing failure pattern of it. Ideally, if it did lose 61.3 along with that, that would be the ideal short setup. But we are technically above it and holding. And last week's closure, we did hold it. This will be once we lose the EMA 9 on the weekly, I'll be even more bearish. But as long as we're still rejecting that daily EMA 100, which yes, we are above it now, but still a very long day and we easily could reject it. I think it's wise to be more at least cautious, especially after that harsh rejection we got on October 7th. That was kind of bears flexing to me, solidifying this SMA 200 into big resistance. And so now either we break above here and close ideally back above the EMA 100 and the 9, giving us a measured move to 63,400, 63,500. Or just another daily SMA 200 tap. That's where all eyes should be on, because if we start actually reclaiming that, we know just in Bitcoin's history, it hasn't tested it a lot, but when it does, it often acts as an opportunity, and big moves happen from this point. In my opinion, if we start reclaiming that, we most likely have a greater chance of actually breaking the 65,500 resistance. And then it fulfills the bull prophecy where we actually test the 2021 market cycle highs right around 69K. But until then, we have to be more cautious to the fact that, Bitcoin is at resistance right now. And another point of confluence on that was something I mentioned here on Tether dominance. We are back testing now that 9 along with that SMA 200. And we're currently at it now while Bitcoin is pressing resistance. Can we come down a little bit more to actually test this SMA 200? Definitely. But and that could correspond with Bitcoin actually coming up a little bit more and testing that 4-hour EMA 100. But this is kind of the rejection zone right at 62.1, if not right around here, in my opinion. And then all eyes on the weekly closure, because something I posted on my Twitter. Bitcoin is giving us a nice setup here. We know it is because BBWP hasn't had this many days of consolidation at extremes. Let me zoom in here. And the only other time it's had this low volatility was essentially back in October 2023. And we know what happened in October 2023. This is when Bitcoin went on its parabolic move. Now, currently, we're getting the same setup. The difference here is we're even getting more. It's actually more days and more consolidation exactly than October. So it is interesting to see that. This will be confirmed once this reaches 15%. So that is something that we should all keep in the back of our mind, because that is a pretty big setup. And as it stands now, it is, I think, pointed down on the stochastic momentum pivots. And so if this did fire off, technically speaking, it would be to the downside. But easily can change. This is closing in 9 days. And again, I'll still counter that and say, well, we are still holding that weekly 9. All this chop could, I have to be more cautious too of the fact that if the weekly 9 doesn't end up giving and we keep holding it, that'll just inherently make Bitcoin start being bullish, and it'll actually start churning that 2-week up. It'll start actually making price action rise above it, essentially, giving bulls the upper hand. That's why this weekly closure will be very key. If we start losing it again, I can't imagine after we've lost it, reclaimed it, lost it, reclaimed it. If we go and basically lose it after reclaiming it, again, I can't imagine we're just going to keep this structure for many months on, especially with what we see overall with the momentum pivots. You know, a move is brewing here. We're seeing basically momentum kind of base on most time frames and go down. You know, we're at a very important point here. You know, this 2-day EMA 100 was also something I was watching pretty closely, along with the daily. I like the 2-day chart. Sometimes when we're in super choppy environments like what we've kind of had, you know, the 2-day kind of can make it less choppy. And so what we see here is we're still cleanly holding that 2-day EMA 100. That's why it's going to be important to see kind of what happens with this actual test of this 9 here. Because, you know, we so far have been rejecting from it, and we are brushing against it now, while Tether dominance is approaching support again. You know, we rejected this 5.93%, but basically if we do bounce from this daily SMA 200, I don't see why we won't break above here, considering, you know, just how many times this overall resistance has been tested at 5.93%. And then the next zone would be the 6.1%. Break above there, and then we're testing that 6.5% again, which would be a pretty big move overall. And these circles represent just how many times this 6.5% has been tested. Can't imagine the next time it does go back up here, it won't break above. And then, in my opinion, we'll be in bear market territory, giving us a big move up to 7% or higher. So that's why, you know, as of now, Bitcoin's giving me a short trigger. Currently, we're at resistance. It's something to be mindful of and watch closely. If daily closures start reclaiming this EMA 100, okay, cool. Then we get a nice easy move to 63,500, maybe another wick to 65,500. But at that point, it'll be very key to see the rejection in the zone if it doesn't already happen here. If we start losing the 61,300, our next level of major support's at 57.7. And then, you know, if we start losing that, we're probably going to go and test that 49K again and actually back test this wick. You know, we lose 49K, well, it, you know, starts becoming less clean for bulls. But, you know, until then, bulls are still looking for a weekly higher low. They just don't want to see this low at basically what that was formed on September 2nd on the weekly get lost, because then that would mean the higher low is invalidated. We're getting this higher low because Bitcoin made a higher high here. It took the high here and even closed above it. We've now came down. We're still basing on the 9 on the weekly. That's why it's very, you know, important to be kind of cautious at this point. But we can't get very bullish while we're testing basically 2-day resistance, which is that 2-day EMA 9, the daily EMA 21. And then I'm curious, you know, to see kind of, you know, the monthly too. This is why I prefer overall the EMA 9 over the 5. Because what would you have gotten if you viewed the 5 was basically we lost the EMA 5. You would have rightfully still gotten bearish, but then we quickly reclaimed it. Now we're holding it. That's why I prefer the EMA 9 in my opinion, especially for Bitcoin. We're still cleanly holding it. And in this month, we actually tested it. So it is something to be mindful of that. That is why on the Discord I posted, you know, ideally right now, as long as Bitcoin's closing under that daily EMA 100, we do have to be more bearish. Because that means we're under the SMA 200 and the EMA 100. Once we lose the weekly EMA 9, cool, now we can be even more bearish. And then once we actually lose this monthly 9, I'll be very, very bullish. I'd be actually convinced that Bitcoin probably is going to be coming down and consolidating for a long time. You know, and that's just kind of what history has shown. And losing this 9 on the monthly would be the first time in this whole bull market that's ever happened. So very, very, very interesting day today, especially with this closure. I'm watching closely to see if we actually reject here. You know, because this would be the spot Bitcoin would reject. And I'm getting that in all time frames. I think the 4 hours is a lot cleaner though. We can just see here this EMA 100 on the 4 hours has been a nice area where Bitcoin likes to rally up to it, reject. This we closed above it, so you know we easily got a nice move once it closed above. But then also we came down, resistance, and then we mega nuked from that point. You know, so now this is a nice deviation. It hasn't closed yet either. But overall, what we have to see the reaction here, because bears kind of want to push this down, you know, now, soon, especially with this silver cross to the downside, you know, that we have on at least the 10-hour. It's fairly weak though, considering we're now above the 9 and the 21. We're testing the 55, so it's giving me again more confidence that this should be a rejection zone. And we want to see kind of bears step in now, in my opinion. If they don't, then we run the risk of us basically reclaiming. Basically, this would be an SFP. We're reclaiming meme line support at 61.3, while also potentially reclaiming daily EMA 21 and the EMA 100. Then that would give us more of a move to the 63.5. If we don't reject here and we start reclaiming, that's an easy buy trigger. At least a 65.6, if not to the 69K. So that's kind of what I'm watching. We kind of want to see a rejection now today. And also, what candle? Yeah, this 3-day is actually looking interesting. This is closing today as well. You know, ideally, bears kind of want to push this down. We don't want this to flip red. If this flips red, you know, it'll be a classic move where shorts get smoked, longs get smoked, and then probably the real move happens within the next closure, which is, it's very classic of Bitcoin to put this in. Kind of smokes everyone. And this also shows the chop we've had for 6 days. It's kind of funny. But it'll be interesting to see where this closes. You know, ideally, I want this not to reclaim the 9. I want this to keep closing under the 9. So this is closing to that. And again, this is giving me more confluence since it's closing and how this candle is looking that, you know, bears ideally kind of want to get this down. Then you can make the argument this could flip into a hanging man. And then we get the expansion down on the next 3-day closure, leading into a bad weekly. So we'll see. Ideally, I'm bearish though, and I want to see a rejection here. And then I want that weekly 9 to get lost, leading to the monthly 9, and then I could be a full-on dirty bear again. But as long as this 2-day is still above this daily SMA 200, which keep in mind, I mean, we really haven't flirted or messed with it in a while since we lost it here in October. Now we're reclaiming it again. Very much like when I said about the daily EMA 100, you know, we basically, when was it? We haven't been above it since October. When we started reclaiming it here, this is when I was telling everyone on stream to kind of be more cautious. Now we're getting that same setup, but it's more stronger. It's on a 2-day and it's SMA 200. Now we're reclaiming it, you know, and so that is something that I'm watching. As long as we're above it, though, we do have to be more. Bulls have the upper hand, I guess, to say the least. And so that's kind of while BBWP is slowly resetting. So we're now backtesting the 9, and we easily could come more down to 5.62%. But I would expect a nice bounce from that zone. So today's going to be a very key day to me. But again, I'll just reiterate one more time. I am getting a short trigger. And I guess technically speaking, if people took it, ideally, we wouldn't want to see Bitcoin. I mean, you could argue you wouldn't want to see it get back above this last rejection high at 62.5, 62.6. But if you want a more conservative approach where you probably won't get liquidity grabbed and you'll know if you're wrong, is if we just take it out this shooting star and invalidate it by actually running the highs. That's kind of how you're supposed to play it. But since we're kind of far from that, you know, you'd have to use lower leverage. So in that case, then how I would trade this personally is very simple. I'd short the EMA 100 on the 4-hour. Any reclaim of this, I would cut, and then I would have my stop essentially basically right at this wick, just as a hard stop loss, just in case, 63.2. But any reclaim of this EMA 100 on the 4-hour, I'd front run it. So that is just something to be mindful of, considering where your balance is.
I literally just opened that trade. Like when I grabbed my computer, I literally identical to what you just said. So I'm sorry, Farhan. I'm not going with the bull hopium here.
Yeah, I think.
Didn't you guys know bears are racist?
It's true.
Yeah,
just a little bit.
Argue with
just
that.
enough. Yeah, it's fine.
It's fine. No, but I mean, this is something I was talking about last stream. You know, after that massive 2-day closure on Tether dominance, it made sense. We want to at least come down again. It tests the 9, it tests the SMA 200. What that'll do is it'll give us at least a nice pump into Bitcoin, which is what we see today. But, you know, we're still at resistance. Bitcoin to me is still weak. And we really need to be on defense mode up and down, considering we have a 2-week setup that's historical. You know, this 2-week setup is the equivalent to like one trade. You nail this, you don't have to trade all year if you do it right. Like, and, you know, when we get these like once a year kind of trades, in my opinion, it's really good to just be really defensive. As it stands on, it can change. And fine, you can correct me if I'm wrong. The 2-day stochastic momentum pivot, the 2-week, I mean, which is what we're getting the setup on, is statistically down right now.
It's up.
Oh, it turned up? I thought it was down from
No,
last.
I'm pretty sure it's up. Let me
No, I think the weekly's up, but the 2-week is down. I'm almost certain.
Let's see.
But I'll happily be wrong.
You might be right.
Yeah, I think I am, because the 2-week, I remember thinking to myself as well, it has more precedent. It's a higher time frame. We are getting a 2-week setup.
Yeah, you're right. 63K is the pivot.
Yeah, so as long as Bitcoin's under that, we'll see where it closes in 9 days. Statistically speaking, this setup will fire to the downside. So I'm all eyes that when we get to resistance zones. I don't think we're going to be in this kind of range choppy zone forever. And when we do, this is what I've been saying as well with all you guys. This is when people start signing off. They say, screw Bitcoin. Oh, I'm over it. This chop, I can't do it. This is when things in the background really start coming together for these big explosive moves.
If that third drive on the daily of hidden bullish diversion does confirm, we likely would be over that pivot.
True, but then I counter you with the 3-day bearish divergence, which is interesting to see.
That's true. But if that daily confirms, that would invalidate the 3-day.
Yeah, what price point does it need to confirm it on the daily?
61,280.
Yeah, so again, more confluence. Why bears kind of need to push and press price down.
If they close below that today, then all of that is out the window.
Yeah.
I think you both are exactly right. There's obviously a move brewing, like a big ass move, where whether it goes up or down, like the big move is not too far off right now from where we at. And you can take like both arguments, so you can make a bearish and a bullish case here. One, monetary mass has fucking exploded to the upside with China, Japan, all the stimulus, the United States, etc. That's always really bullish for Bitcoin. And if you also want to be bearish on the other hand, what was the fucking bearish argument? God damn it. So I only got the bullish one. Hang on.
Well, we know. We know like market makers got arrested recently. There's like some congestion with that. The FBI started some coin to trap these guys, but that's not really
bullish.
Bearish to drop price action, in my opinion, and it is bullish because now we got the news out of the way. In my opinion, it's just not the way Bitcoin's looking, and it's just the way. That's why the momentum pivots are very key, because when the 2 weeks down, when everything's kind of on the edge, just like in October, that's what can give us a nice bias at least.
Yeah, I guess also to me is, if you're giving me the same setup as before, October 7th, blah, 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 what are the odds that it's just going to follow the same thing? Like,
right.
It's
and it could.
It could, but it could also just be like, nah, guys, you see this setup that you already saw? Fuck you. Now we're going the other way. That would, like, in my view, catch a lot more people with their pants down than the copy paste the same move. But no clue. Like, honestly, I took the trade that you were just talking about, Alex. It just seems like it makes sense for right now, and it's a good try. I'm not here for the big move yet, but I do think there's some money to be made all the way to like low $60,000.
It is a good trade, because logically you would short resistance.
Yeah,
the correlation with other dominance. But then on the flip side, right? On CME, we have the 5-day setup, which that's a big move as well, and that's also giving us a setup. And I think Rightfart has 100% hit rate to the upside, right? So
far it's every single time it's hit.
So that won't stay like that, of course, but also
on spot it's 85%.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, exactly. So CME is the one that has it. The spot doesn't yet.
CME has it. Yeah, CME has it.
So it is interesting. I'm tired of being in this range, I'll be honest, and it makes trading a lot harder because you're not really getting follow through. It is
on nothing.
Yeah, exactly. Like, we'll lose the EMA 100 on the daily. We'll reject it yesterday. It looks beautiful for bears, and then today we get a green dildo. There's just no follow through to any setup, at least for me. But usually in the most choppiest times, it's when a big move is coming, and it'll usually take people by surprise. And right now, I don't know what would be more surprising: an 80K Bitcoin, potentially a 90K Bitcoin, or 30 to 28K Bitcoin. Because with this 2 week, that's kind of what we're dealing with, in my opinion. Yeah. If this 2 week fires off, let's say to the downside at where we're at now, I don't see why Bitcoin easily couldn't go down 50%, go to 30K. That would be pretty devastating across the board.
I'm personally leaning about like 65, maybe 70, 30 that it fires towards the upside.
Really? You are bullish?
Not bullish, but I think it's going to play, that setup is going to play out towards the upside.
Yeah. And I mean, it favored last time. And you know,
most of the time that it fires off, it was towards the upside.
Mm-hmm.
So
well, last time it did. I mean, because remember, we've only had this 2-week setup once, and last time it did fire to the upside. But there were really what guided my bias was the 5-day, and the 5-day I think on Bitcoin is still pointed up. And
on spot and CME.
Yeah, and so that's important. And on the weekly, Bitcoin is still up. The 2-week is down. It's interesting. The weekly is still holding the 9. The monthly is still holding the 9. So we can't get overtly crazy, but we'll have to see, because I'm bearish in the sense that my 1 checkpoint, 2 checkpoint of the SMA 200 daily EMA 100 is lost. I want the weekly EMA 9 to get lost, and then I'll be full on bear once that monthly 9 is lost. I think once that monthly 9 is lost, what the monthly 9? Yeah. So that currently is right now. We haven't lost it this whole time. 59,000.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm gonna be full on nuke it bear if we lose that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say even 60,082 on the 5-day setup seems like that would be terrible.
Oh, this cat just jumped on my lap and dug its claws into my leg.
Well, as long as it's not your dick and balls, son, that's all good. I got makes sense. UPS for you, Farhan, and Sofi for you, Alex.
Sounds good.
Thank you, boys. Vale. Vamos a revisar Bitcoin rápidamente y lo vamos a hacer desde la mensual a la chica. Tenemos dos partidos en esta votación, damas y caballeros, en estas elecciones. Mitad alcistas, mitad bajistas. Y si me incluyes a mí, estoy también en la mitad de los dos, pero tengo un trade hacia la baja. No está abierto todavía, estoy esperando a que se dé. Ahora estamos viendo Bitcoin ¿cómo se llama? En la mensual, y podemos ver que seguimos en esta fase de consolidación, que mucha gente, incluyendo a mí mismo, si estoy viendo solamente velas, esto es una consolidación alcista. ¿Por qué? Porque esto es el patrón tan famoso, el cup and handle, que normalmente tiene un movimiento explosivo hacia la alza, pero normalmente cuando todo el mundo puede ver algo y cuando lo estamos viendo en velas, lo hace ver bastante obvio, y normalmente esos patrones son más difíciles de cumplir, por ende. Ahora, vamos a aprender nuestros indicadores rápidamente para ver qué es lo que consideramos cuando Bitcoin esté en un mercado alcista, que Bitcoin esté por arriba del promedio de las 9, y definitivamente lo está. Si me voy a acercar un poco más, ¿qué pasó con mis otros EMAs? ¿Todavía? No se han copiado esta computadora. A ver, espérame tantito, voy a darle un reload a ver si me cargan todos. ¿O no? No, y aparte se fue al SP500, un segundo. No están cargando todos. Ok, da igual, luego lo hago. Es más, ¿saben qué? Les voy a enseñar algo rápido. ¿Quieren copiar? ¿Quieren crear un nuevo EMA? Lo único que tienen que hacer es agarrar acá y poner copiar, que lo puedes hacer con tus shortcuts, y luego lo pegas literalmente acá y te va a aparecer un segundo de estos. Pero, cabrón, no, espérame. Y te va a aparecer un segundo de estos. ¿Ya lo vieron aquí abajo? Ahí le pegué. Entonces, simplemente para modificarlo, voy a agarrar y hacerlo, digamos, el 5, que es importante. Voy a poner el 5 por acá, le voy a poner estilo y lo vamos a hacer de color blanco para que la gente lo pueda ver bien. Y con eso quedamos. Y ahí está, así de fácil para que puedas poner un EMA. Pero perdimos el EMA. No, pero es en la de 3 días. Vámonos a la mensual una vez más. Perdón por todo el movimiento de estas estupideces. Y también, es más, ¿saben qué? Cuando nos acercamos en la mensual, podemos ver que estamos un poco por abajo de el EMA 5, que no queremos perder, que es el 61,800, básicamente. Una vez que pierdes esto, es básicamente el indicador adelantado de que probablemente vas a perder el 9, que está en 59.70. Atención con ese número. 59.70 es definitivamente un número donde nunca, si eres alcista, no quieres ver ningún cierre, ni diario, ni semanal, de 5 días, de 3 días, de nada abajo de los 59.070. Si ves eso, muy probablemente esto empiece a irse al nepe muy rápido. En la de 2 semanas tenemos un poco de lo mismo, estamos abajo del promedio de las 5, estamos abajo del promedio de las 9, que es ahí donde empieza a preocupar un poco en la de 2 semanas. Y lo que queremos es poder tener un cierre en esta vela que cierre en 9 días y 10 horas arriba de los $62,000. Si no podemos cerrar arriba de los $62,000, va a empezar a pintar mal y nuestro siguiente viaje va a ser a los 57,000 y de ahí se imaginarán a dónde más. Eso es en la de 2 semanas. Y ahora vamos a acercarnos un poco más. Vamos a la semanal rápido. En la semanal podemos ver cómo literalmente venimos de esto, de este tope que nos había dado ¿qué? Para que lo vean todos rápido. Déjenme quito todas estas chingaderas. Tenemos altos, 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 altos más bajos, pero estos altos más bajos son más altos que estos. El problema acá es, bueno, no el problema, lo bueno de acá es que todavía no hemos roto estos bajos y estamos creando un bajo más alto. Pero si rompemos este bajo, ¿qué les puedo decir? Empezaríamos a buscar objetivos por acá en los $40,000, pero todavía no ni siquiera tenemos que hablar de eso. En este momento, Bitcoin está cotizando en 61,759, que es justamente abajo del promedio de las 9 de las 5, pero está por encima del 21, que está en 61,350. Queremos definitivamente mantener estas zonas si somos alcistas para poder empezar a poner objetivos de acuerdo a los indicadores de Farhan de volatilidad y momentum. Tenemos un setup en la semanal y en la de 2 semanas, sobre todo en la de 2 semanas que se está dando, donde es idéntico a lo que pasó en octubre 7. Viene un movimiento grande, lo sabemos. ¿Por qué? Porque también acabamos de platicar esto en el análisis de Rivian. Esto es justo lo que queremos llegar a Rivian, donde se juntan todos, absolutamente todos tus promedios. ¿Por qué? Porque esto te está diciendo que va a tener un movimiento con muchísima fuerza. Eso quiere decir un movimiento expansivo. La volatilidad se expanderá, al igual que el momentum, y lo que nos dirá que eso es un movimiento en dirección y con dirección expansiva. Eso quiere decir que tiene bastantes piernas, porque ahorita lo que han visto, si han estado tradeando, están viendo que vamos a 63 y luego todo el mundo cree que ya nos vamos a 70 y luego se va a 61. Luego de 61 todo el mundo cree que se va a ir a 52 y se vuelve a ir a 62, ¿no? Han sido movimientos muy cortos, sin follow through, sin seguimiento. Y ahorita está dándose en las tablas un setup con seguimiento. Lo que no sabemos es si es alcista o bajista. Ahora voy a poner la tabla de 5 días que se me hace bastante interesante personalmente, donde podemos ver que estamos literalmente encima del promedio de las 5, que es muy importante, 61,766, pero tienes el 21 y el 9 justamente aquí abajo en los 61,100. 61,200. Esto en el setup de los 5 días se me hace importante porque esto es el adelantado de la semanal. Si llegas a bajar de esto y ponte tú, tienes te vas a los 60 bajos, estos dos van a cruzarse, el 9 va a quedar por abajo del 21 y eso va a señalar debilidad que podría ser el principal indicador de lo que se viene. Así que ojo por acá. En la de 3 días tenemos algo horrendo, al mismo tiempo hermoso. Estos patrones muy fáciles de reconocer. Esta es una vela de super tope. Esta fue una vela topera, pero no tanto, pero aquí tuviste el follow through con una confirmación cierre acá. Luego acá te dijo, espérate tantito, papi, y acá no pudiste hacer un alto más alto que este y tienes esta vela que es definitivamente de absoluto tope. Ahora estás creando un hammerhead. Este hammerhead va a cerrar en 8 horas 57 minutos. Muy importante este cierre de los 3 días. Definitivamente no queremos cerrar abajo del 61,400. Digo, del 61,500. Si cierras abajo del 61,500, empezaría a pitar mal la cosa y nos vamos a ir a visitar los 60 y de ahí esperemos que Dios nos agarre todos parados. En resumen, si volteamos a ver todo esto, podemos ver que todos nuestros promedios están bonchados por acá, lo que nos dice que va a haber un movimiento expansivo bastante potente. El setup que tenemos en corto, en el que estoy yo intentando entrar, es acá, que No, todavía no entra. ¿Por cuánto? No seas mamón. Todavía no me entra por $80. Ok. Vamos a ver si se da o no. Pero acá tienes una buena entrada por esta zona que estás viendo en los 61,900, digamos. Y tienes tu stop loss que lo puedes poner acá apretadito en 62,516, 62,520. Con poco, ¿cómo se dice? Apalancamiento para que no te vaya a cargar el pene, porque igual y esto se revienta a la alza. Todavía no sabemos, el movimiento todavía no se da. Estamos esperando a ver, esperando a ver qué se da. Ahora, lo que estábamos platicando todos nosotros, esto que estábamos viendo es cómo, ¿en dónde fue? Tether Dominance, perdón. La dominancia de Tether. En donde puedes ver que la dominancia de Tether en la semanal, estamos encima del 200, que es algo de lo que normalmente el precio le cuesta trabajo estar. Déjame, simplemente dejo esa para que puedan verlo tranquilos. Ok, ahí está. Es el promedio de las 200. Y pueden ver que Tether siempre, la dominancia de Tether ha estado por encima. Lo perdimos por acá y se está volviendo a recargar en él. Eso nos indica que podría haber fuerza y la línea en la arena está en los 5.34%. El promedio de la 100 está en 5.76% y el promedio de la 100 también es importante. ¿Por qué? Porque una vez que lo retomemos, esto nos va a dar un gran impulso probablemente a la alza, donde nos permita romper este 6.51% y eso sería negativo para Bitcoin. En la de 3 días es muy similar. Puedes ver el 200 y el 100, estamos oscilando entre los dos. Y el 9 está por encima del 21, que es algo que nos indica fuerza. Así que vamos a ver. Nuestra línea en la arena está literalmente acá en este alto, en los 650 en Tether. En Bitcoin, básicamente lo que no quieres simplemente es perder los $60,000. Si pierdes los $60,000, ahí vamos más, tiramos más a bajistas, pero siempre y cuando podamos tener un cierre arriba de 63,000, nos volvemos bastante alcistas. Es como estamos en medio de todo en este momento y es lo que nos dice Bitcoin, tal cual. Alrighty, Alex, we're ready for UPS.
What? I thought I was doing UPS.
Oh, sorry.
UPS.
No, yeah, you're doing SoFi. I brought SoFi up, so I'm sorry for Jesus Christ, motherfucking shit.
It's all good, but it's all good.
Wasn't UPS looking like shite?
Death.
When we looked
Yeah,
at
it looks like shit. Yeah,
yeah.
it looks like what the cat just made in the corner.
Oh. Ugh.
I don't know how to train a cat. I have a squirrel and I need to train her because I need Tata to be in my house at all times. I just want her to be here on live streams.
So the cat has 2 litter boxes.
Yeah,
it doesn't use them.
Well, it does, and that's the issue. And it's because I think after the parasite treatment, it's gonna like go more to the bathroom, but it'll use the box and then shit on the floor as well. So it's not fun.
How elegant. He likes options.
Right. So I'm cleaning his box and cleaning shit off the floor every day. That's so
well, that's the blessing of having pets. It's like me. I have to fucking clean Tata's little house every single fucking day. It's a mess. You can't believe how much a squirrel shits, by the way. It's unreal.
This cat shits 24/7.
He'll grow out of it though. It's because he's only 3 months.
Yeah,
so that's all
for
they
sure.
Each.
Yeah. It's a baby still. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you gonna share your screen, Farhan? What's going on?
Oh, wait, I didn't share my screen. My bad.
Let's see how effed UPS is.
Let's see it.
All right, so on the monthly, we still have that silver cross towards the downside. I started out with this momentum chart because I wanted to look at the stochastic momentum on it. Right now, the reason why I think it's very likely gonna go down before this month closes is because we're currently over the momentum pivot, which is right now is $128.55. And we're the reason why I think it's gonna not flip up is because we're still below every single major moving average. So far, every single time we've tested the 9 EMA, we've gotten a sharp rejection and a big impulsive move towards the downside. Look over here, we got almost 13% move down immediately. And then on this one, we got a 12%, 15.76% move down after we tested it again. And as long as we're below this 9 EMA, this silver cross to the downside is still going to be playing out towards the downside. So we're very likely going to continue to the trend towards the downside, because the trend is your friend until the end. But if we do close over this number, this 128.55 number, then we have a higher probability of once again testing this 9 EMA, which is at about 140. But since we've tested it so many times before, we're probably next time going to go up to the 21, which right now the 21 is at about $151. Let's check the quarterly momentum. The quarterly momentum is still very sharply pointed towards the downside, as long as price is below $181 exactly. And we're also about to enter the bearish critical zone, because we're currently at about 14.77 on the momentum. So at that area, on the next quarterly open, this number is very likely going to go down significantly. This is going to be that much harder for bears to keep the momentum down towards the downside once we're in that bearish critical zone area. Weekly is currently finding some support at this 9 EMA and rejection last time around at the 21. We're currently, I believe, over it. Yeah, we're over it by a little bit. So if we do close over this 21 EMA, it's going to coincide with this weekly momentum flipping up with a pivot as $127.87. And that would give us the probability of coming up to test this 55 EMA, which right now is at about $144. It might go a little bit higher than that, to that $150 number from previously before. But very likely this 55 EMA rejects and continues to hold this downtrend, as since we've had since around this point, where we had this breakdown, and then we've been steadily going down. And if we were to test this 55 EMA, it would still be another lower high in a series of all of these lower highs. That weekly momentum would flip up, but then from there, from around the middle zone to somewhere around the edge of the bullish control zone, is where it would probably flip back down, and then we would continue this trend towards the downside. Let's check the HPDR chart. Yeah, so the monthly on the HPDR bands is still rejecting that 61.8% level to the downside, which is a pretty bearish signal that it can't even get back towards 50%, or 38.2%. So the next monthly open, we want to see where these ranges move down towards, because if these 38.2% ranges move considerably towards this downside, and if they line up with this 200, that's going to increase the probabilities that we're probably going to come down towards this 200, which is around like $110.76. The weekly right now is looking less bearish, but it's not looking bullish. The weekly setup is only thing it's telling you, since we're above this 38.2% and this 50%, as well as the 21 EMA, that we can probably go up towards this 88.3%, which is right around this 55. And since we're going to be at such extremes on the HPDR bands, very likely this area rejects and we don't continue from here, which would also coincide with us rejecting this 55 EMA and making another lower high in a series of a whole bunch of lower highs. Momentum is currently at extreme levels, so it can only go so much higher before it becomes too difficult for the bulls to keep it up. Well, and by that point, volatility will also likely have tapped out too. And that would still be a lower high and a rejection of this 55 EMA, with all of our momentum indicators at extreme levels. 5 days pointed up and about to enter extreme levels. Momentum volatility is flipping up as well. The jewel is giving us a nice signal on the 5-day, where the pink is crossing over the yellow and the cyan is right above all of them. And they're all pretty close to each other whenever they crossed. But still, that would only give us a statistical target of somewhere around that 55 EMA, which would also be extreme levels on the HPDR and another lower high.
That's wild. Like everything you're saying, I'm sorry, because I'm staring at the 3-day I'm staring at the 3-day chart for some reason. Basically coincides with the EMA 100 and the meme line too. So everything you're saying, it's like literally that is the most significantly representative chart of literally all of the levels that you're saying.
Yeah. HPDR works magic.
Yeah. Crazy.
on the 3-day, every single time frame is giving us the same thing, where it's giving us a signal to the upside, but it's telling us that we're entering extreme areas and that we should be looking for a limited move towards the upside and then continuation of trend towards the downside. Let's check the RSI. Monthly, nothing. Quarterly still has that bearish divergence, multiple drives of it still active, and we're now entering the bearish control zone. Our next target, if we get continuation from here, which would be losing this 55 EMA, which is at about $129, would be the bearish critical zone. And right now, I don't want to take this number very seriously right now because I don't think it's going to go here. I think this number is going to go up significantly by the time we get there. But right now, it's $9.45.
Get the fuck out of here.
I don't think it's going there, but this number is probably going to go up significantly. And then it's probably going to go down to that number, whatever it is at that point. And that could be like a year from now. It could be 2 years from now. Who knows? This is a quarterly chart, so it'll take a long time to play out. Five-day still has active bullish divergence, and we have basically 0% volatility, and we're expanding from there now. We're at 2%. Once we get confirmed 15%, then we're going to have that statistical move towards the upside on this, with coinciding with this bullish divergence, which would take us up to that lower high number that we were looking at before. 3-day is about to put in the third drive of bullish divergence. We're entering the bullish control zone, and the volatility is expanding from 0%. Also, another signal that gives us short-term up. 2-day just confirmed some hidden bullish divergence. So we're getting expansion from 3 periods, so 6 days of 0% volatility. So that gives us a statistical target towards the upside in the short term. Just like basically every single setup right now we're looking at, every single indicator chart, we're looking at every single momentum setup we're looking at. Yeah, every single time frame and momentum setup we're looking at gives us the same signal that we're probably going to go up to, in the short term, and then long term we're going to continue with trend towards the downside.
Pretty nice, sir. Thank you so much. I got a good one for you. Tesla,
nice.
See how that shit's doing.
Is it still going down? Let's see.
I'm sure it's gonna stop today at some point. It's at 219.
Yeah, it's bouncing a little bit.
Yeah. Vale, pues, tenemos UPS por acá. Yo creo que la mejor tabla para resumirles absolutamente todo lo que acaba de decir Farhan, porque en altas temporalidades está... en altas temporalidades sabemos que va a haber continuación del movimiento bajista. En temporalidades cortas vemos un movimiento alcista, pero para resumirles todo, ahí les va. Voy a quitar mis promedios primero. Simplemente quiero que vean en un gráfico de 3 días de dónde venimos. UPS hizo un máximo histórico discúlpenme, en los 233, y eso lo hizo en enero del 2022. Desde entonces ha estado cayendo, banderita bajista, banderita bajista, banderita bajista, creando nuevos altos más bajos y bajos más bajos. Importante en este momento es acercarnos en este gráfico de 3 días para poder ver qué exactamente se está dando. Podemos ver que el precio está por encima del 9 y del 21. El 9 está a punto de cruzar al 21 y vienes por encima rompiendo esta línea meme que está en los 133.61. Siguiente objetivo a romper, 137. Puedes ver que el promedio de la 100 está viniendo por acá. Lo que nosotros creemos es que probablemente esto continúe bajando y más o menos por acá llegar a topar el precio. Entonces quisiera algo así. Y acá que venga el rechazo para por fin dar continuación al movimiento de UPS. Porque todo nos dice que va a haber una continuación de movimiento, pero ahorita estamos en un movimiento de corrección y ese movimiento de corrección es literalmente esta zona. Por lo que a muy corta temporalidad creemos que UPS puede venir a retestear el promedio de la 100, que en este momento se encuentra en 146.34. UPS está cotizando en 134.61. No es un movimiento muy grande, pero también UPS no se mueve muy rápido, muy volátilmente, para que lo tengan en mente. Así que aquí tienes dos jugadas, ¿no? Arriba o para abajo. Así es como vemos UPS en estos momentos. Sofi, let's do Sophia.
Sophia, nice. So SoFi is actually looking pretty good on the weekly. We're actually getting that fresh silver cross we talked about, which was a potential, but now it's a reality. And we even reclaimed the weekly EMA 100, which is pretty strong. We basically have been essentially chopping around this EMA 100 on the weekly for quite some time now, since June of 2023. So it is welcoming now to see a reclaim and a back test of it to an expansion. We're also seeing BBWP go from basically, 6.2%, now expanding, currently at 30%. So overall, what this is telling me is, this is going to be a strong weekly closure. Ideally, bulls, if they can close back above $8.79, that would be even stronger in my opinion. But if not, then we most likely then go and retest maybe we wick. It'll really depend on where this EMA 9 goes on this next closure, because it's going to move up in 4 hours. If it gets close to this EMA 100, that'd be great confluence, probably a bounce from that area. If not, then maybe we wick to it if it's a little below it, and then bounce from there. Ideally, it would just be a back test of the weekly silver cross, though. But if not, then we ideally want this $8.79 to hold to then give us a move back to this wick high. If we can break this wick high currently at $9.18, to me, then this could give us the expansion move all the way to that $10. Most likely lines up with that weekly SMA 200. Not a lot of data with that, but regardless, still coming in right around that zone. If we go to like a daily as well, it just keeps looking good. BBWP is healthy and expanding. And to me, this $8.79 is a pretty big level. We kind of see the deviations from it along with this meme line here. It's pretty strong resistance. And currently right now, if price rallies up to it and rejects, we have to be mindful of that. Depending on if we do get a closure back above $8.79, then to me, any rejection here, I'm looking on the weekly to either test the EMA 9, if not having this $8.79 actually hold. Something SoFi has not been able to do each time it does get reclaimed. Overall, though, a very strong looking chart, especially with that fresh weekly silver cross and BBWP expanding. It didn't fully hit extremes, but it still went to 6%. So pretty good, nice reset across the board. It's very welcoming, though, to see that weekly EMA 100. So again, we want to see where this weekly EMA 9 actually goes to. If it starts churning up more, ideally you'd want this fast moving average to get actually above this long one, this EMA 100. If it can, it really will then start supporting price in a way that hasn't actually happened ever in this chart. We've actually never had the 9 cross above the 100. Supporting price action, super bullish market, that's usually what you see. So it's something to really watch, especially on a pullback, and breaking this last wick high rejection would be, to me, the trigger that we're probably going to test this $10 high. Even just the weekly, the monthly as well is looking insane. But what I'm liking is this monthly 34 coming in nicely with this $9.20. Currently it's at $9.34. So it is coming in nicely. With this, I have $9.14 zone. So, nice confluence of that resistance. We have to be mindful of that. But, we see on this monthly, since it reclaimed that monthly 9, it's been holding it. That's kind of what you want to see exactly with, bull market moves, is at least this monthly holding it. Big moves happen from that monthly 9. Now it's well above the 21. So I don't see why bulls can't take it home and actually test this 34. To me, that'll be a big level. The times we have tested it, it's basically rejected it. Hasn't fully tested it yet, so I'd be mindful of that. But price has kind of been front running it. So that is something to be mindful of. I'm curious to see how the quarterly looks as well. Unable to reclaim that quarterly 9. Currently above it though, but unfortunately 2 months to go for bulls. So let me see. It really will depend kind of on this closure because, we're getting, luckily the weekly is closing today. And so ideally we just want to see where this closes. Can bulls actually hold and defend this $8.79? Or do we still close a nice green candle, but it still kind of wicks and closes below this? Then to me, if that happens, it just gives more confidence of probably a back test of this 9, which is just basically because of how fresh the silver cross is, would basically be what bulls kind of want. The opportunity in that would be then we want to basically a bounce from the EMA 9, something, you know, SoFi has been doing this entire time. If we get below the 9, then we just have to eye the 21, which ideally next closure will come in nicely right around that $7.70 zone. But overall, I mean, it's nice to see this moving. It's nice to see the silver cross actually happen on the weekly. We see the 9 has freshly crossed the 21 as well in the 2-week. And this is closing in 7 days, but now, you know, all eyes to see if bulls can just close above this. If the weekly can close above $8.79, then it gives, you know, it gives them more momentum to actually hold it for the 2-week, which then could bleed into the monthly. You know, if the monthly can, that would be a really good sign. But yeah, I mean, as it stands, I'd just be very cautious of this like $9.30 zone. It to me seems likely that it probably will hit within the week. You know, assuming that we don't take the silver cross retest first on the weekly. But as it stands, we just have to be mindful of that monthly 34. It's nice that it's coming in there. If we can get a closure above that, then yeah, to me it'd be a massive level. And then I don't see why we wouldn't go all the way up to $10, if not higher. But we just have to, you know, first take it level to level, which first to me comes with that monthly 34. If we don't massively reject in this zone, then we probably have a good chance of testing this $10, if not $10.20. And then there we'll have to see, do we massively reject like each and every time, or do we actually break above it? You know, this would basically be the third retest of it. You know, does SoFi actually take it home and break it, maybe flip structure on the weekly and on the monthly, giving us, you know, that uptrend structure? We're unsure, but that's why I have it mapped out here. To me, and it's more evident, I guess, on the weekly. Yeah, you know, to me, the last higher, lower high was here. That's why this zone is going to be very key. If we can break above it, then we actually could maybe get a trend shift here while BBWP is supporting price action. So, you know, it's something to just keep watching closely. We have it this weekly closing in 4 hours. So I'm just eyeing to see if we actually do reclaim $8.79. If we do, then we probably do next week head into this $9 zone. And then there, the reaction will be really key. To me, it would make a lot of sense to probably reject that monthly 34 at least. And then, you know, maybe it does it on, you know, forms this nice green candle, which probably leads into the weekly, just forming, you know, some kind of higher low somewhere. And that could just come into the weekly EMA 9 test, which lines up with that silver cross. I'm curious to see if the weekly's ever silver crossed on SoFi. And we can see here the 55 populated here. So it actually has never silver crossed in its lifetime on the weekly. Let me see. Let me actually make sure that's correct. Actually, it's silver crossed on the weekly here one time. So right at this point, you know, and it was getting support from the 9, you know, and from the silver cross, let's take it from the wick low to the wick high. It's still went up 30%, 31%. So, you know, ideally retesting this 9 could be an opportunity for bulls. But, you know, if this EMA 100 on the weekly keeps holding, the ideal long would be if this 9 can actually move into this EMA 100, giving us the ultimate, you know, at least long for me. We have that silver cross, we have BBWP expanding with another backtest of the silver cross and the EMA 100. That could be the field that bulls essentially want and need to actually take us to $10. So it's promising though to see the weekly did silver cross. So it's looking pretty good. I think you're muted.
Perfect. Alan. Thank you so much. That was great. Yes, I was. Motherfuck me. And now I got JUP, JUP.
Oh,
is
Jupiter.
Is SoFi the company that Chamath was pushing?
I don't know if Chamath is pushing SoFi, but the fucking Chargers are like in SoFi Stadium, and I see SoFi ads all day because of that. Why?
I believe that because it was one of those companies he was pushing heavy in 2020.
I'm sure. I mean, motherfucker's a venture capitalist, right? So he probably has money on everything that you see and use. That cocksucker. No, I'm just kidding. All right.
He's kind of a meme on crypto Twitter because most of his shit failed.
Yeah, but everyone's a lot like this is a bad a misconception everyone has. If you're a VC guy, if you're an investor, you just need one thing to hit. Like we have a fund that we manage and we have our subscribers invest in the fund and we invest in the fund with them, right? And just with one company, we can make all of the fund double the money if everything else fails and goes to zero, just with one company as is. Yeah. And it hasn't even like really blown up. So this is why you do it. You throw as many things at the wall as possible with all of, just like you analyze all the charts, we analyze like the business, all the probabilities that it has to do well or not. And then you're bound to fail. But with only one doing it, because the expansion of the size of that company becomes so large that it doesn't really matter.
I guess we're all just speaking broken knees.
Basically, compared to that motherfucker, yes, we are. Hopefully one day not. We'll see what happens. All righty, let me present this. You got JUP and then you got Tesla. All righty. Tenemos Sofi por acá. Estamos viendo Sofi en la semanal. Vamos rápidamente a abrir la trimestral para que puedan ver lo que ha estado pasando en estos momentos en Sofi. Sofi empezó a tradear no hace mucho tiempo, empezó en octubre del 2020 y ha llegado a máximos históricos de $28. En este momento está cotizando en 8.61, me parece, a menos de que esté loco. ¿Dónde está el? No, en 8.89. Sofi está cotizando en 8.89. Venimos de esta caída de acá y empiezas a ver un poco de estabilidad en el precio. Puedes empezar a ver bajos más altos y tienes este alto. Ahora queremos romper ese alto de 11.65 por acá. Voy a aprender rápidamente mis promedios para ver. Mi promedio de la 9 está en 8.61, lo que por primera vez, aparte de este cierre, por primera vez pone este cierre trimestral y faltan 2 meses, 21 días arriba del promedio de la 9, que es muy importante para poder considerar que algo está en un movimiento alcista fuerte. En el índice, cuando vemos la volatilidad, estamos viendo que está teniendo un movimiento expansivo y eso se ve un poco más en las tablas más pequeñas. Pueden ver acá, tengo esta línea meme que dibujé y fue claramente lo que pudimos superar para poder agarrarnos y empezar el movimiento hacia arriba. Estamos arriba del promedio de las 9 que está en 188 mensual, el del 21 está en 818 y estamos justamente en 891 cotizando en estos momentos. Se ve bastante bien en casi todas las temporalidades, los voy a llevar a semanal. Semanal podemos ver que estamos literalmente por primera vez, bueno, no por primera vez, ya lo había hecho una vez antes. Acá un cruce plateado que tuvo un movimiento de 30% a la alza de aquí al wick más alto. Y acá estás teniendo otro. También, más allá de estas desviaciones, por primera vez te está recargando en el promedio de la 100 y el precio está expandiendo hacia la alza junto con este cruce plateado con el 9 por encima y el 9 pronto va a cruzar el 100 y eso va a ser bastante bueno. Esta vela semanal va a cerrar en 4 horas 27 minutos, que es buenísimo, y lo que estamos buscando es un cierre arriba de los 8.82. 8.82 ha sido una área donde hemos visto al precio ser rechazado varias veces, y esto sería un muy buen cierre para empezar a darnos esperanzas del 9.21, y de ahí coincidir con este promedio de los 200, que está en los 10.20, probablemente ir a buscar este alto por acá en los 10.50, y de ahí el que sigue para poder tumbarlo. Por ahora, como puedes ver, todo junto, todo expandiéndose, etcétera, lo que habíamos platicado al principio del stream con Rivian, estamos viéndolo aquí en Sofi y pinta bastante bonito, honestamente, sobre todo cuando estás viendo bajos más altos que los pasados, quieres romper este alto definitivamente, lo que te va a indicar que esta estructura está formando válidamente una estructura más alcista y después llevarte contigo a casa. Así que por ahora se ve muy bien, simplemente no queremos tener un cierre abajo de los 8.82 en esta vela semanal de 4 horas 26 minutos que le quedan. Vamos a ver cómo se da y pues a darle ahí bastante bien, honestamente. No, wait. We're doing Tesla. Sorry.
Yep, Tesla. All right, so we're going to start with the weekly on Tesla with the RSI. Right now, as long as we're closing below this low right here at $237.81, we're going to confirm this bearish divergence in 4 hours and 25 minutes. We are very close to hitting the bearish control zone. We are finding support at the 21 EMA. So the easy target has been hit at the 21 EMA and the bearish control zone. Right now, the bearish control zone number is at $207.21. Our low of this candle went to $214, so we didn't quite touch it, but we came close enough, only $7 away. If we do lose this 21 EMA though, then it makes it more likely that we're going to break into the bearish control zone and we're going to hit the bearish critical zone target. This number is going to go up over the next couple of weeks because this is going to take quite a while to play out if it does play out. But right now, the bearish critical zone is at $41.37. This number is going to go up significantly. Probably it's going to be somewhere in the high 100s or to the mid 100s. But if we continue to hold this 21 EMA, then this divergence is going to play out, and then eventually we're going to form bullish divergence from there, and this will be our next higher low, because currently this is still a higher low versus these lows here. Nothing. 5 days already touched the bearish control zone, so the easy target has been hit on divergences. 3-day has bearish divergence confirmed, but we're already at the easy target, which is the moving average on the RSI, and we've hit the 200 SMA. If we lose this moving average, which is currently at $215.04, then we have a target of hitting the middle zone, which is currently sitting at $201.37. But at that point, I think we're going to go significantly lower because we're going to have lost every single one of our major moving averages. And especially when they're bunched up together, they're stronger support. But if you lose them, then you're going to go significantly towards the downside, which would very likely take us to the bearish control zone, which right now is at $152. And that would be right along this. It's actually even lower than this mean line. Be somewhere around this zone right here where we were on April of 2024. What happened in April 2024?
The greatest fucking bottom ever.
Was that during the war in the Middle East?
No. What happened was like all the FUD from like bad results for all electrics. So Tesla was the first one to be that extreme, and I can't remember what it was, but someone came out with an article where it said that Tesla was scrapping the $20,000 car. Remember?
I don't really watch or read Tesla news.
Yeah, me either. I was on X and people said it. But to me, what I get is on X, I get all the retards. I listen to all of them and I see them. This is never gonna get like the same thing that I always say, right? That you look at all these experts giving Elon Musk advice, and when I see the people giving Elon Musk advice, I'm like, I need to buy. And that was the greatest day ever, where Elon Musk got the most advice from everyone online I've ever seen. So I knew that was.
There's one easy rule to live by on X. If somebody says, or if enough people say it's never going to go to this price, it's going to go.
You absolutely mega lesson, and I do take advantage of that tool. Honestly, it worked on Rivian, because I also see all these people that invest are going crazy. And again, if anyone got into the NFT craze and really formed part of like many NFT communities and understood anything, this is trading NFTs. It's identical. It's fucking identical.
2-day. For load, nothing. All right, so the only divergence we really have is we have a 3-day bearish divergence, which has, for the most part, has played out. But if we lose a bunch of moving averages right here, which would be at the 100, if that price is around $214. If we lose that on a close, then very likely this divergence is going to continue to play out towards this bearish control zone, and which right now is sitting at right around $152. Let's switch to the HPDR chart.
By the way, I guess the asshole that was coughing behind me the whole way in line got me sick. Who would have thought so? I haven't been sick in years, so fuck that guy.
That sucks.
At least he didn't get me pregnant, so there's that.
Not yet.
Come on. Come on.
So right now on the monthly on the HPDR, we are breaking back into the 38.2% zone. And if we get a close right here, we have a statistical target of hitting this median. Right now, this lines up with the 55 EMA, so it should be even stronger support than if it was just the median or just the 55. And that is just below $200 at right around $196 area. But if we do happen to lose this area, then that brings us back down towards this bottom 38.2%. Right now, that one is at $169. Perfect number.
Yeah, 169. Just one.
We probably wick below it though. Maybe very likely we close within it, but we probably wick below it down to this 100, which is right around that $152 area we were looking at on the RSI. So now we have two different things that are lining up with that same different number of $152, which greatly increases our probabilities of us hitting it. And our last macro low on Tesla was right over here in December of 2022. We corrected exactly towards this 100. So why can't our next macro low be at the 100 again, right?
Yeah, no, there's no reason why not. And honestly, that would be the greatest opportunity to purchase Tesla at that point, whether it goes down a little bit more or not. Because then Elon comes into office. I'm sorry, Trump. Sorry, he's playing the president. And they cut interest rates, and we all go to Valhalla with Elon.
Yeah, because usually whenever we tap the 100, we like to go up towards the 78.6 on the HPDR. Right now, that level is at $414. So from 150 to 414 is quite the return.
I take the 4X or the 3X.
Right now on the weekly, we're losing the median. We are finding support at these 100 EMA and this 21. But if we lose the median, we have a statistical probability of coming down towards this 38.2, which is at 206.88. But we probably don't hold this area because we've already tested this price currently in the past. So we probably come down towards the 61.8, which is at $194. Let's see. Right now we're getting our weekly HPDR momentum flipping down too, and we're getting a volatility flip down. Volatility flipping down with momentum flipping down gives us probability of hitting the median, which we've already done, and we're pretty a couple of dollars below it. It's at 227, so we're about like $7.16 below it currently. That gives us more of a probability of continuing towards the downside. And since we're still nowhere near the extreme zones on our HPDR momentum, we have a lot of juice to continue going down to the downside pretty heavily, because we can get all the way towards this negative 80, negative 90% area. And we're currently only at negative 13, so we can keep going for a good amount of time. 5 days correcting currently exactly to the median and finding support right there. And this is a fresh 5 day because 5 day just closed yesterday. So now we have for the next period 5 days and 5 hours, and we're correcting towards the median, finding support. Our HPDR momentum is currently still within the positive territory. It's basically in the reset territory where it tapped out on extreme areas. It flipped back down. So this would be the ideal zone for it to flip back up if bulls can step in and continue to hold the median on this close. But if they don't, the median is currently at $216. We're only about $3 above it. That increases the probability of us retesting this wick right here, which would be right around the 61.8%, which is right now at $184.77. The 2 day is currently HPDR momentum is flipped downwards, and it's in the extreme areas in the bearish control zone. So from here is very likely where we should be looking for at least a mean reversion bounce to touch the top 38.2%, which would also fill this gap. That would be currently somewhere around $244. But at that point, we would very likely mark this as our next local bottom and continue upwards towards the 38.2%, because we would confirm multiple drives of bullish divergence on the weekly. Daily is giving us the same thing. HPDR momentum is entering the extreme bearish control zone, where volatility is almost tapped out at very extreme levels at 88%. So you can only go so much more before volatility is going to be tapped out, and it's going to have to do a mean reversion bounce towards the upside. Check the R's. Sorry. But yeah, we only had that one drive of bearish divergence, and we have on our lower time frames like the daily and the 2-day, we're getting momentum at a very, very extreme levels, both indicating that we should be looking for at least a little bit of mean reversion bounce from here. And then if we do get trend continuation towards the downside, it will happen after that mean reversion bounce.
Makes sense. Makes sense. I mean, that's what it looks like. And it's also a big move towards the downside from the 260 area all the way down to 220 in 2 days. Like, I don't know. That was 2 months. But in just a few days, I mean, we literally went from 240 to like 220. So that was a quick move. It's almost a 10% on a multi-billion, almost trillion-dollar company.
And if we break this current low, we're very likely going towards the 150s.
Yeah, I think so too. That'd be the greatest. I'm going all in Rivian and Tesla and leaving my bags, packing them, leaving it alone, and just waiting to rip all the benefits at that point. That'd be so ideal that it might not work. That'd be so fucking ideal that it might not work. All right, we're gonna do JUP, and Farhan, I got XOM for you. Gossip Girl. XOM. I don't know if you know. All right, here we go. Sorry, boys. I'm fucking retarded and old. Vale, pues. Vamos a ver la tabla del Tesla. Estos coches, estos vehículos eléctricos, tíos, que me están jodiendo los cojones. No, ya. Ok, bueno, vamos a hacerlo bien. Tesla está cotizando en $219. Podemos ver esta gran caída mensual. Literalmente topamos acá en contra de nuestra resistencia en los $260 y tuvimos una caída. Algo que quiero que tomen nota de es de lo guapo que son, no, de esta línea que viene en bajada y cómo esto literalmente puede ser una desviación y puede continuar el movimiento para abajo o puede que se recargue ya aquí el precio y continuar la expansión hacia arriba. En cuanto estamos viendo esto en temporalidades altas, podemos darnos cuenta que estamos por encimita apenas del promedio de las 9 y del 21, que está en $218. Es muy importante tener un cierre en 20 días arriba de los 218. Eso es para la mensual. Si perdemos esto, nos vamos a ir a la media del HPDR, que también es el indicador que está usando Farhan. Y si vas a la media, que es donde coincide con el 55, que está en 196, probablemente vayamos a la parte baja del rango, y la parte baja del rango está por ahí de los 150, que es donde coincide con el promedio de los 100. Así que atentos, esta es la temporalidad más interesante de ver porque es la que tiene confluencia grande con todos los indicadores de momentum y volatilidad. En temporalidades cortas estamos sobre extendidos en todo lo que es momentum y volatilidad. Vamos a necesitar que se resetee un poco. Este movimiento es bastante potente, si lo quieres ver así. Nos acercamos un poco más a la semanal para que puedan ver. Y esto es de lo que siempre platicamos. Cuando tienes todos los promedios juntitos, se va a dar un movimiento grande y puede ser a la alza o a la baja. Y lo que no queremos perder es esta zona de los 212, 218, aunque para mí muy importante es mi línea meme que está en los 221. Es interesante que regresamos para abajo después de haber tenido este tope, un tope más bajo, y ahora estás por abajo de ella, lo que nos indica que probablemente vayas a buscar un bajo más bajo que este. Nada es seguro todavía, si es que no puedes aguantar los promedios, que también, ¿qué pasa? Hay confluencia con esta línea. Así que interesante eso, que lo podamos ver en la semanal. Si nos vamos acercando un poco más, nos acercamos a la de 3 días y aquí podemos ver que es la misma historia. Perdimos el promedio de la 9, el del 21. Venimos al 200, ahora 55 y 100, que están acá, que son altas temporalidades. Y pueden ver cómo la línea va bajando acá y están justamente coincidiendo con esto, lo que nos puede decir, aquí está todo el secreto de la salsa, señores. Perdemos los $212 dólares, vamos a ir muy para abajo. Y cuando digo muy para abajo, estoy hablando de por ahí de los $150 a largo plazo. No estoy diciendo en 2 días. Si llega a pasar eso, si llegamos a ver que perdemos los $250, los $212, muy probablemente vayamos a ver $150 eventualmente. Y en ese momento, en mi opinión personal, va a ser la mejor oportunidad de toda la historia para comprar Tesla en un movimiento rapidísimo. Un poco de lo mismo y podemos ver que en la diaria estamos perdiendo la 9, el 9 está bajando el 21, lo que nos indica debilidad. La debilidad pues te la enseña esto y estás justamente ahorita peleándote con el promedio de la 100 que se encuentra en los 220.58, que también coincide con nuestra línea meme, así que esta línea es muy importante. Si no quieres empezar a ver a Tesla caer, aguantar esta línea. Si cae más y pasamos de los $212 a la baja, prepárate, los 200 van a ser tu siguiente piso y de ahí vamos a continuar escaladamente para abajo. Así que atención por ahí y nos vamos a ver JUP, como de que no, con el gran Alex.
Nice. Yeah, so with this coin, I mean, I remember when Bitcoin was kind of consolidating, this came out. There's not a lot of data with it because it's, only from this year. Which, remember, with these coins, it's only really seen upside or consolidation on Bitcoin. These coins have never gone through like a bear market. But regardless, with what we do have, we do see that 3 weeks ago, we essentially lost that EMA 9 on the weekly. And now it's just been acting as steady resistance. Bulls are going to be looking at this downside as potentially trying to put in a higher low. As long as we don't break this low here that was formed on September 2nd, 2024, 5-day, which is currently at basically 0.6587, almost 66 cents. So ideally, bulls want to kind of step in here. But remember, momentum is with bears right now currently. And the fact that we are still rejecting that 5-day EMA 9, is bearish. We even on the, if not a lot of data with the weekly, but taking it to a weekly, we even see here that the weekly, a week ago, essentially it's just been rejecting this. This looks like since the first time it lost the EMA 9 on the weekly, this week we essentially rallied up to it. And with this channel here, this mean diagonal that I've had on JUP, we essentially tapped it and also rejected the weekly 9. Another point of just why, bears kind of have the court right now, and bulls are going to want to see, at least we want to see bulls step in right around here to keep that higher low hopium potentially alive. Because we see here, when we got this expansion up, to me, it broke the downtrend on the weekly because we broke this last lower high on a wick basis, of course. So now we're coming down. We don't really have much support in terms of moving average. It's not very clean, but bulls kind of want to step in here. Like I said, they don't want to lose this low here, even on a week basis. Because
you're above the 5 right now. Oh no, that's a daily. You are on a weekly.
Yeah,
you're getting rejected by the. Sorry.
No, all good. And remember, because I kind of confused it because when I started, I said this was a weekly. So we've had essentially 15 days, 3 days, 3-week, 5-day closure since losing that 9. That's steadily been acting as resistance. Along with that 21 lining up perfectly with that diagonal. Taking it to a weekly, though, not a lot of data, but with what we do have, we are still rejecting that weekly 9 even. And this would be the first rejection after losing it here. And it's corresponding with just a bearish retest of this diagonal. So, as it stands, there's not really much hopium other than bulls need to kind of step in here to keep that potential higher low hopium alive, confirmed once we actually break this wick high. At basically 0.9686 cents, almost 97 cents right here. Once we break that, then we, are basically forming bullish structure with higher highs, higher lows. And then from this range, it's a pretty big range. But remember, it's a shitcoin. So this could easily take us back to $1, if not $1.20. But for now, like I said, other than this high getting broken, taking out this wick, which to me looks like, this is trying to form structure. We're still under all the major moving averages. Taking it to a daily now, the daily even we're still rejecting the daily 9. We see here that we do have a silver cross to the downside. So we would expect that this EMA 9 keep rejecting, and even on this upside, we still are seeing BBWP contract, which is telling me that, you know, even on this upside move, it's just more corrective, and we should be eyeing that, you know, the silver cross is still valid. We did reject this channel, and so this chart is still bearish. And as long as, especially as we're under that EMA 9, the nice part about this is once we do start reclaiming that daily EMA 100, I do think Jupiter could at least get a bigger bounce to this 96 cents, 95, 96 cent range. You know, we see here that this daily EMA 100, not a lot of data with it, but, you know, once it's lost, big moves down. Once it's reclaimed, big moves up, to keep it simple. And what's nice is it's lining up perfectly with the diagonal mean line. So if we start reclaiming that, then this will start looking, yes, more like a higher low with an SFP, giving bulls potentially the upper hand if we can break this high here, almost at 97 cents. But, you know, a lot of fuckery with this chart, still very bearish and massive resistance here. Currently, the resistance right now I have is at basically 83 cents, if not 82.73, right in the zone. You could even gauge it with just the daily EMA 100. You know, and that's kind of it. There's not really much else to talk about. You know, even here, we see that 9 has crossed to 21. So even any rallies up to this 9 should get rejected first, if not this 34, which again is lining up closer to that daily EMA 100. So we're getting nice confluence with that, along with that EMA 9 on the weekly getting rejected. Yes, we are getting a bounce, you know, but as it stands, it's kind of in no man's zone. Next support is 63 cents, in my opinion. And I do think that this can still come down a lot more, especially if Bitcoin starts breaking down. It's getting a nice bounce now. So on the low time frames, let's see how that's kind of reacting with Bitcoin bouncing. You know, and so the low time frames are getting a bounce. We'll just see how sustainable it is going into the weekend. I'm curious to see how the 4-hour looks. And so the 4-hour is not looking the worst. We see we're kind of basing on the 21. But again, it just lines up with, we still have massive resistance here at this 4-hour EMA 100. A spot that on the lower time frames, at least, Jupiter likes to reject. We've only hit it once since losing it, but we lost at this point. We rallied up to it, rejected. So if we get any rallies up to that, I'm watching this zone here, which again just kind of lines up with any rallies up to you know, this 82 cents, even maybe up to 79 cents, is going to be resistance until proven otherwise. But bulls are going to try to step in here. They want this to try to be some kind of higher low, and then confirming that by breaking this high. So, you know, not working with a lot. This is still a shit coin, you know, but overall it's okay, I guess, as long as bulls can try to step in here. And then, you know, bullish is if we can start actually reclaiming, especially this weekly 9, then it's just a tick for bulls reclaiming control, and then all eyes on this 21. But, you know, as long as we're under the diagonal and we're rejecting that weekly 9, you know, it can look kind of constructive, but like I said in the beginning, bears still have the upper hand here. So it'll just be a matter of kind of where they take it on this weekly closing in 2 days, and then how it opens up next week. You know, and that's kind of it. That's all I have with Jupiter. Just another shitcoin, I guess. And it is something to be mindful of because, you know, I remember back in, what was it, like 2021, everyone was buying altcoins, you know, Phantom, AVAX, all that craze was happening. And then, you know, everyone kind of forgets that these coins can go to zero or never even recover, especially to the point where some of these coins have never seen a bear market. Eventually, one will hit. Eventually, sometime. I mean, it might take years or it might be around the corner, but when it does, you know, these coins have only really seen up only. So that's kind of.
I have a dad joke about this coin.
Go ahead.
Anyone who buys this shit is stupider than Jupiter.
That's not a dad joke. That's an uncle joke. That we have to remove it one step further from the dads, and that's an uncle joke. Sorry, Farhan. Sorry to tell you.
I guess I'm an uncle now.
Your Uncle Farhan.
Uncle Farhan. Welcome to the Uncle Club. That's why I call myself Uncle Alejandro, because I say the dumbest shit in the world. I'm not saying you do, but I'm saying you do. No,
I definitely do.
Alex, we got PDD for you. PDD.
Okay.
Lots of baby oil.
PDD.
I got Exxon Mobil.
I'm gonna do this one. You got XOM, yeah. Thank you. Vale, pues, estamos viendo Jupiter. Jupiter es un altcoin de Solana, básicamente, lo quieren ver así. Es simplemente una cartera y aparte una empresa que tiene diferentes tecnologías, etcétera, que sacó su monedita. Y pueden ver qué es lo que estamos viendo en la semanal. Hemos visto de cuando salió la moneda, que salió en 3 centavos, llegó a ser un máximo histórico en $1.8 y de ahí ha estado consolidando acá. Vimos este alto, un alto más bajo y lo que parece ser un alto más bajo, junto con bajo, bajo más bajo, y ahora lo que la gente está empezando a pensar es que esto está formando estructura alcista porque estos son bajos más altos que esto y ahora vamos a ir a buscar la parte de arriba. Pero si prendemos nuestros indicadores de nuestros promedios, podemos ver que estamos siendo rechazados por el promedio 5, el 9 y el 21 para abajo. Esto es bastante negativo, obviamente, porque pues simplemente estás por debajo de las cosas que marcan un mercado alcista, pero nos vamos a acercar a la de 3 días. En la de 3 días puedes ver cómo también sigues abajo de todos los promedios. Tuviste esta vela topona que fue a tomar toda esta liquidez y ahora vas para abajo. Cualquier oportunidad de viaje a la zona del promedio de las 9, que esté en 78 centavos, muy probablemente vaya a ser un rechazo. Ni siquiera les voy a poner el promedio en las 5 porque es irrelevante en un shitcoin. Y pueden ver eso. Me voy a acercar un poco más a la diaria. En la diaria está siendo rechazado por el 9, el 21 y el 55 tienen un cruce plateado a la baja, lo que nos dice cada que vayas a tocar el 21, quieres apostarle en contra y eso nos va a dar movimientos a la baja y probablemente eso te haga lana. Pero si puedes romper esto, prepárate a irte a donde esté el promedio de las 22, de las 21, que es el amarillo. Pero hasta ahora, lo primero que tienes que poder lograr si eres alcista en JUP es poder romper los 81 centavos. Si no puedes romper los 81 centavos a la alza, cada una de estas intentos de subida van a ser para apostarle en corto, no para arriba. Ahorita estamos intentando crear estructura alcista con este bajo. Les dije, este es un alto más alto que el pasado. Así que vamos a ver si los alcistas en JUP lo pueden hacer, pero lo primero es poder retomar el nivel de los 76-62. Si no podemos ni hacer eso, olvídenlo. Y ahí se va a caer en el piso. Alrighty, we got XOM. Gossip Girl.
I've never watched it.
I sadly did. But I also met Ed, the guy playing Bass, Chuck Bass. I ended up at a party in his apartment in New York. It was the craziest thing. I didn't know the guy was British.
There's so many people who are British who are just like really good at their American accents.
They're really, really fucking good. Kid's really fun, and he had a guitar and like, yeah.
Like Tom Holland.
Yeah, Tom Holland's. I've never met Tom Holland, but
he's
yeah,
British,
he's
and his
like
American
that.
accent is really good.
All of those guys are, and all of us fucking retards in America can't do a British accent. There's also that girl that plays. Did you ever see Succession? Is that the name of the show?
No, I haven't seen it. I've heard of it, but I haven't seen it.
Oh, if you haven't seen that and you like TV shows, that's a fun one to watch. Dude. That's a really, really good fucking show, like a great show. And the girl playing the daughter, the woman, not the girl, the woman playing the daughter is British, and you would never tell.
Is it on Netflix?
I believe it's HBO or
HBO is cool.
One of those, yeah.
I guess I got to write that down. But on the quarterly right now, we're getting a rejection of the median, which we have a statistical probability of hitting the median volatility going down, but we're getting a reset of our momentum. So right now we don't have a direction on momentum. We're just at the neutral territory, and we're getting a complete reset. As of this setup, if we keep rejecting the median, we would have a statistical probability of coming down towards the bottom 38.2%, which right now is at around $111.32. That would increase the likelihood of this momentum shifting towards the downside from the reset, while volatility flips up. And what increases the likelihood of that is that the jewel is currently curving over, and it's giving us this dark blue sells positive. If it doesn't hold this pink and it continues going down, it's going to lose the bullish control zone, and that's going to increase the bear thesis that we're likely going to mark a local top over here and continue towards the downside, possibly retesting this 21 EMA. Right now, the 21 EMA sits just below $100, so that would be a pretty significant move down on something like Exxon Mobil. That is around a 24 to 25% move down, which I think something big is happening if Exxon Mobil is going down 24 or 25%.
Oh yeah,
like a COVID type of situation where nobody's using gas. See the monthly. Yeah, monthly is doing the same thing as the quarterly, where momentum is going down to reset, and volatility is also just about to reset. But on the monthly, we are currently above the median. The median is at $121.21. So the monthly increases the likelihood that the quarterly momentum, which is currently reset, is going to continue on towards the upside, as long as the monthly closes over the median in 20 days and 4 hours. It is at 121.21. So as long as it closes over there, we would have a probability of going up to this 38.2% or 50%. Usually what this likes to do before it tops out is it likes to go up to the 78.6 or the 88.3. And those numbers right now are sitting at $141.41 to $150. Our jewel right now is currently curved upwards on the monthly, and we're approaching this peak. This theoretically should be resistance at this point, but since we're currently over the median, we're not finding any resistance. So we're likely open up this next monthly over the pink, and then the pink is going to start curving upwards as well. It's probably not going to cross over the yellow on the next one, but the one after that is probably going to cross the yellow, and then we're going to have one of those ideal jewel buy signals. At this point, it looks good. As long as we close over the median, then the light blue will be over the pink, which is not as strong as when the pink is over the yellow, but it's still a pretty strong buy signal. Weekly. The weekly is testing down exactly towards its top 38.2%, and it's finding a lot of buying interest there, which is what you want to see on a consolidation if you are bullish. The HPDR momentum is breaking into the bullish control zone, and volatility is sticking up now as well. So now, and volatility is only at 58%. So we still have a lot more to go before volatility is topped out. The jewel is starting to curve around as well, making a higher low, and now it's giving us this white neutral. On this next weekly open, so we're going to flip to a light blue cyan buy, and it's likely going to break into the bullish control zone as well, which should give us enough fuel to continue onwards to, on the weekly, at least hitting the 88.3, which right now is at around $130. Two-day momentum is currently flipping down, while volatility is flipping down as well. So that gives us a statistical probability of hitting the median. And right now the median is significantly below price action. But the 2-day, why does it say 3 days and 4 hours for the 2-day to close? That's weird.
Yeah, it makes no sense. And you do have it on a 2-day setup. I'm looking at it.
Right now, that gives us a probability. I'm sorry?
I said, let me try putting it on my chart. Yeah, the chart, my chart has the same problem. If I put it on the 2-day, it says that it closes in 3 days and 4 hours. Never seen this before.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Right now, the probabilities of hitting the median, which right now the median is sitting at $117.67. So this is another setup that gives us towards the downside. But if we can also consolidate around here while the median moves up, and then we can tap the median then. So it's only telling us we're going to hit the median. It doesn't tell us when we're going to hit the median. Set the daily. Daily momentum is currently flipping down. It's about to reset. It's currently at 31, while volatility is also resetting as well. And the jewel is curving back over and rejecting the bullish control zone, and it's flipping into this dark blue sell posture. The pink is still above the yellow though, so it can still find support somewhere around this pink and maintain this bullish control zone area, and flip back into the bullish critical zone where it rejected before. All right, so quarterly momentum is pointed towards the upside right now, and it's maintaining the bullish critical zone as long as price is above $121.41. And last time we had a continuation and a flip back up of the quarterly momentum within the bullish critical zone, we had a bounce of around 22.1%. And that was during, when was this? That was around 2013. What happened in 2013 that made gas go up?
I actually have no, I don't remember, but it was like the whole problem that Europe had. Well, that's when Europe like basically went into a recession.
And right now on the quarterly as well, we have a silver cross, and we just retested this 9 EMA back in April of 2024, and now we're continuing on to the onwards to the upside, playing out the silver cross. Volatility is resetting, which is kind of weird to see because we're continuing to the upside. So this is literally playing out the meme that goes on crypto Twitter of vertical accumulation, where the volatility is resetting as price continues to go upwards. On the monthly, volatility is expanding from the lows on this correction down to this 21 EMA. And stochastic momentum is flipped to the upside as long as price is above $119.61. So this is also telling us that continuation towards the upside is more likely than long-term correction. Weekly is continuing towards the momentum is continuing towards the upside as long as price is above $117.15, and volatility is starting to expand as well from around low 2s or low 3%, and now it's at 15.87%. So if it closes over 15% in 3 hours and 49 minutes, that's going to confirm volatility expansion, and it's also going to confirm the momentum towards the upside, which should give us a decent sized move up from here. Let's see if I can get a target for what we would look for. Probably somewhere around $133.56. If we were to confirm volatility expansion today by closing over 15%, and we close over the momentum pivot for the stochastic momentum. 5 days also going to continue towards the upside as long as price is above $112.62, and volatility is also expanding on the 5-day. It's at 22%. So this is a confirmed volatility expansion setup. So we should be continuing to the upside towards that $130s to $135 area. 2 days also going to do the same thing above $120.26, and the daily will is going to continue downwards as long as price is below $125.82. But the reason why this is not like a death symbol is because we're crossing back into the below the bullish critical zone. So once it gets to this area, this number should drop significantly, and the momentum flipping back around into the bullish critical zone from the bullish control zone usually gives us a very, very sharp and aggressive move towards the upside, which would coincide with our move up to that $135 area. But overall, it's looking very strong. All of the mid to higher term timeframes are lining up and giving us an indication that we're probably going to continue onwards towards that 130, 135 area.
Amen. That's what I saw too. Just looking at all of your screens, I knew it. I read it. Simple. Thank you, dude. Greatly appreciate it. So you're not doing PDD, but you are doing AMD. AMD. Vale, pues tenemos Exxon Mobil, que tiene las siglas XOM. Rápidamente los vamos a llevar a la trimestral. Quiero que sepan, en todas las temporalidades estamos creando altos históricos, son altos nuevos, es justamente donde estamos en este momento. Podemos ver lo que pasó cuando el petróleo se fue a cero, que esto cayó a $31, que coincide con esta línea de soporte por acá. Esto es algo que jamás pasa. No es como que todos los años se presente una oportunidad para comprar petróleo en negativo, ¿no? Pero estaría bueno y bienvenido si lo quiere hacer. En fin, En todas las temporalidades tenemos los mismos tipos de convergencias con todo lo que vemos de acuerdo a los indicadores de volatilidad y momentum de Farhan. Todo tiene cara y se ve bastante bien. Todo está expandiendo y continuando el movimiento hacia la alza. Y en todas las temporadas parece ser lo mismo, menos en las cortas. En las cortas puede haber un retroceso, ¿ok? Podemos ver, estamos formando estructura alcista bajo, un alto más alto, alto más alto, alto más alto. Aunque sí tuvimos este breakdown, pero esto lo podríamos ver como una desviación en realidad. Es lo que literalmente es, porque esto es un cisne negro que nunca pasa y sobre todo le pasó al petróleo. En todo eso, simplemente para hacer de lo obvio, tenemos un cruce plateado en la trimestral, que es una locura la fuerza que lleva, y podemos ver que estamos muy por encima del promedio de las 5, del 9, perdón, y vamos a ver, estamos justamente rebotando en el 5, lo que nos está llevando a esta zona justamente de altos históricos nuevos. Nos vamos a acercar un poco más a la mensual, como de que no. Y en la mensual podemos ver que estamos por encima de esta línea de meme, justo con las mismas características, ese cruce plateado hacia la alza, encima de todos los promedios. Ya aprendo el 5 rápido para ver dónde está el 5, también del 5, etcétera. Tiene muchísima fuerza y momentum esto para continuar la trayectoria a dónde va. ¿Qué es lo que nos sorprendería o no nos sorprendería? Honestamente, perder los 116. Básicamente, este mechazo en la semanal, la última vela verde para abajo, es lo que cambiaría todo el plan. Fuera de eso, si te mantienes arriba de los 119, 120, esto tiene muchísima fuerza para seguir empujando a la alza con todo. Y pueden verlo en todas las temporalidades, como literalmente sigue y sigue empujando. Tienes este cruce plateado en la diaria, encima de la 9, y déjame ver dónde está el 5 en la diaria. Y también por encima del 5 rebotando en él. Tienes esta vela que es un poco topera, pero no es topera en realidad. Después tuviste esto y ahora vas a ir a probablemente cerrar este gap en 124. Siguientes objetivos en Exxon Mobil, 130, de ahí 135. Simplemente se mueve muy lento porque es una acción tradicional que toma bastante tiempo, bastante volumen que tiene, pero ahí lo tienen. Exxon Mobil, damas y caballeros. Vamos a ver PDD.
Nice. P. Diddy. Okay, cool. So unlike, the actual P. Diddy, PDD is looking pretty good. And
well done, sir. Thank you.
it's looking not too bad. So like on the weekly right now, we see we are pressing resistance. That's currently at 155 for me. And that's just currently based on that wick high rejection right here. We can see here price kind of stops at this point. And it makes sense to kind of consolidate and even come back and test this weekly 9 that we actually have not tested that since breaking above. Currently, it's at 129 right now. And, an area on why I think that's more likely is because if you start going more down to lower time frames, call it like a daily, right? You can see BBWP is starting to slope down after almost hitting extremes. So consolidation, if not more downside, a little bit of downside would make sense to kind of get that reset. Even on like the 2-day, it's evident, and then the 3-day as well. With the 2-day even hitting extremes here, the 3-day is hitting extremes now, and we can see there's not many times where we've hit extremes other than the last 4 times here. So it makes sense to at least get some consolidation. One thing I want to note though about the 3 days, we freshly have silver crossed to the upside. So even, coming down and retesting that 131, if not even the 21 at 127, probably 128 when this closes, it would basically just be retesting the silver cross while lining up exactly with what I mentioned on the weekly, testing that weekly 9, which we haven't done yet. Could act as a nice opportunity while resetting, the momentum oscillators. Giving bulls the upper hand, solidifying the silver cross, and getting more like a spring from that zone. We even see the 2-day as well as freshly silver cross. So maybe if this 2-day 9 doesn't hold, which would be the first place we'd expect to bounce at 135.70, then we have to look at the 21, which again is lining up nicely with that weekly 9 that we were talking about in that 3-day 21. So lots of areas, but ideally we just want to see this start going down. Then that'll start resetting momentum, and we can actually see a more sustained move up. Reclaiming this $155 zone would be a big sign for me. that we at least then could most likely test this 180. A zone we haven't actually tested other than this one time period here. So it's a pretty big zone. We've also really not been able to break above it. Each time leads into massive rejection. So getting back above this 155 will be pretty big for me. But, this chart's looking pretty good. And if you eye it on a 6 month, it's actually not looking too bad. This candle could turn pretty big. Now, it is closing in 2 months, 21 days. But, unlike some other charts we viewed, like Rivian, it's not looking the worst on like the higher time frames, like a quarterly and even a 6 month. So we just have to be mindful of this 155 resistance, which I think is, at least visually more appealing when you're on a quarterly. You can just see how it's kind of been holding price down. So getting some closures above there would be very promising. Let me see. Strong monthly as well. We can see this often acts like a bull trap. When we slam all the way down, even close under the 34 here, and then immediately it engulfs and gets bought up, reclaiming the 9. Something I like about the monthly is it's kind of going into what we're saying. It would make a lot of sense for us to at least reject here, maybe trap bears, come down, retest this 9, which is again lining up with that weekly and that 3-day silver cross. And then, by then, ideally, we get a bounce from there and it starts actually moving these the BBWP, my apologies, it starts pivoting it up, especially on this monthly. It's starting the base. It's still, coming down and it still can. And something to note is we've actually never been this low on it. Granted, this, we only have a few years of data, but it is something to note here. We've never been this low. So ideally, this can come under 15%, maybe closer to that 5 to 6, if not all the way down to extremes, which would be a full-on reset, which we've never had on this chart. And then that would really start looking like, bulls are consolidating this in the best way possible before a major move up. So, with this monthly 9 coming in right at $127 is nice confluence to me that we should at least see some kind of reaction, especially if we get down to there. We can just even on the weekly see the cluster here. Usually when I see the 34, the 21, and the 9 kind of clustering right around here, it usually acts as strong support. So that is something. This chart's looking pretty good. It's just kind of at the top now. We've kind of been in this range. We're now testing the top resistance of it at 155. So a pullback here isn't dumb to expect. It's just a matter of how deep does this go? Do we actually, reclaim this 9, or do we deviate it like we did here? I'm on the camp that we're actually going to hold this 9. And this downside's just going to start resetting this BBWP, which is something bulls would want to see, especially on the daily. And then, testing that 3-day silver cross could act as an opportunity. But, we just want to see this get reset. So that way we can get a more sustained move. We don't want just a quick shoot up. But, it can stay at extremes for a while. So that is something to know. But why I'm more on the camp that we're probably getting a pullback soon is just the fact that it's starting to slope on the lower time frames, like a daily, 2-day, and 3-day. And so when you view it on like a weekly, we'll just see where this closes. But if we don't end up reclaiming 155, then yeah, I'll be more in the camp that probably next week we maybe open up to more downside. Maybe we front run him, right? Maybe we go to just like 128 zone, 129. But ideally, I'm just looking for a retest of this weekly 9. That to me would be the easy trade, and it's corresponding with a lot of areas on other time frames, telling me that like 128 zone to 129 zone is a pretty big spot for P Diddy. And that's why it's looking pretty good. Unlike P Diddy, and it makes a lot of sense when this broke above that weekly 9, as usual in bull markets, acts as strong support. And so it's not dumb to assume that this is going to be support. We just actually want to get that confirmation by a retest. If we can, and the other time frames also, basically retest the levels I was talking about, we have strong confidence in that we potentially can bounce a lot bigger, especially with how the monthly is looking. And momentum as low as it is in the history of this chart, it's never been this low. But we also don't want a long resistance. And so for me, the easy trade here, or at least understanding, is either seeing the reaction at that 3-day silver cross, which lines up with that weekly EMA 9, or potentially just waiting for 155 to actually get reclaimed. You know, we can see here, the only time it really got reclaimed was at this time. And even from this point on lower time frames, you probably could have caught the reclaim. It was still a 37% move up. And so ideally what we'd want to see is just this to start get, you know, this to get reclaimed. We see on this chop here on the daily, it only actually went up once, reclaimed it and deviated it, leading to a massive dump. That's something, you know, bulls don't want to see, is deviation of this zone, because then all eyes on the bearish retest before the real move down. If we can actually hold it, which something like here, you know, close above it, and then actually get close, you know, actually hold it, then to me, we can actually chop maybe in this range. But until then, we have to, you know, eye resistance, and that's currently where PDD is right now. So wouldn't surprise anyone, or it shouldn't, that if we do come down, I'm eyeing this zone, and it's still, you know, from this top to this point, it's still 17% done. I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but it is still, that's pretty big. So, you know, even from here, I'm curious to see, you know, maybe assuming it closes, would still maybe be like a 10 or 11% dump within a week or two. So that's kind of what I'm eyeing, but it could be an opportunity, especially with that silver cross on the 3-day and 2-day. So I'm watching closely. It's not looking bad. And overall, I mean, this is a pretty big level. Bulls kind of want this to either come down and then, you know, we shoot up and then it reclaims and then we base again, but we actually flip this into support, giving us a nice move up to this 180, 190 zone over time, of course. But that's kind of the idea behind it. So something to watch carefully, especially with the monthly you know, momentum resetting, and it's at the lowest points.
Sorry. Fucking dying over here.
No, all good.
But dude, I can't stop fucking sneezing, and it's like driving all of my concentration into it, like the toilet right now. That was a great analysis on PDD. It was even better than what mainstream media has done so far.
Yeah, like I said, it's looking a lot better than the actual PDD. So
it is. Well, it's Pinduoduo, right? Which is the Chinese fucking company, which is gonna blow the fuck up eventually. Their PE ratio is just ridiculously low compared to our market. But they do have Xi Jinping, the supreme leader and the greatest one of them all, if I may say so myself.
You need the prove.
Don't you fucking call him that. He is an honorable man, and I love him to death, and I would gargle his balls if I could.
I'm lucky they didn't throw me in a concentration camp when I was in China.
I know. It's just, Alex, I'm a sellout. And China pays me a lot of money every year with different products, so I'll say anything for them. China's the greatest country of all time.
I was blacked out drunk, so.
You don't even remember how great China is, okay, Farhan? That's the problem.
They were carrying me. They were pushing me off the plane in a wheelchair while I was on FaceTime with Alex saying "fuck China."
Oh yeah.
But in my defense, the airline, what do you call them, air hostess, they just left a whole bottle of whiskey at my table.
It's her fault.
What do you expect?
It's their fault. I would sue them instantly. Yeah, it's not your lack of self-control. It's their fault, 100%. I know how that is. By the way, there's no funnier image in my head than like a perfectly healthy young person in a wheelchair being like moved around while being drunk as fuck. I don't know why that to me like fucking gets me. Huh? No, not that. China? No, China's the greatest country of all time. You better stop saying that. Unless they stop paying me, then we can start talking about it. So, China, Koncham Power.
I can't believe I said that shit out loud in China. I don't even remember.
I know, it's so fucking wild. But at least Alex has that video to blackmail you at some point. Very Epstein-like. All right. Yeah. Thank you so much, Alex. We won't bother you anymore. We're gonna fucking call it quits after Farhan's AMD. I'm gonna translate this one, and we appreciate you, my brother. Thank you. Let's get it. Vale, pues estamos viendo a P. Diddy y honestamente a P. Diddy, que es Pink Duo, le está yendo mucho mejor que al verdadero P. Diddy. No podemos negarlo. Si fuera un gráfico de Diddy en verdad, se vería solamente así, pero no lo es, así que no tenemos que hacer eso para nada para todos ustedes. Honestamente, podemos ver lo que está, lo que literalmente todos. Aquí el 22 de marzo tuvimos el fondo de P. Diddy y de ahí ha estado subiendo, ha creado nuevos altos más altos y bajos más altos. Eso sigue en efecto y lo pueden ver con esta simple paralela que con esta línea de meme que estoy poniendo acá. La primera cosa que empieza a preocupar a la gente un poco con P. Diddy es este alto, si este alto no lo puede romper, porque ahí estarías por primera vez no creando esta formación de estructura alcista que sigue empujando. Pero viéndolo en todas las temporalidades, menos en temporalidades cortas donde estamos un poco sobre en extremos, lo que creemos es que P. Diddy va a consolidar en las próximas semanas y ahorita lo ven. ¿Por qué? Porque el 9 está a punto de cruzar el 21 en la semanal, lo que nos indica fuerza. Podemos ver que hay fuertes rechazos en el área de los 154. Pero no nos molestaría para nada si venimos a esta zona, que es también donde vemos en la mensual y aparte en temporalidades más grandes por ahí de los $128 a $122, casi todos nuestros promedios. Entonces, un bajón acá no sería absolutamente nada devastador, no rompería tendencia y es probablemente lo que vayamos a ver en P. Diddy. Déjenme, les pongo la mensual para que vean cómo ahí en los 127 tienes el promedio de las 9 también, para que haya un poco de confluencia en el análisis. Nos vamos a la temporalidad de 5 días. En 5 días pueden ver cómo el 21 y el 9 aquí ya cruzaron, lo que nos indica fuerza. Y tienes el promedio de las 55 por acá también. Vamos a acercarnos más a la diaria y en la diaria puedes ver que tienes tu delicioso cruce plateado por acá. Estás por arriba del promedio de las 9 que está en los 142, cotizando en 144 en este momento. Y tenemos que ir a romper este alto en los 155.48. Una vez que lo hagamos, de ahí nos vamos a ir a los 164. De los 164 rotos, esto va a poder continuar y probablemente ir a buscar los $190. Pero se ve bastante alcista, bastante bien, honestamente. Gran fan de Diddy. No del Diddy que está en la cárcel, pero de P. Diddy. Acá. Así que ahí lo tienen. Ready, sir.
AMD, Advanced Micro Devices. So we're going to do, let's do quarterly.
Advanced micro devices, so it's not my penis because it's not advanced.
Pretty close.
Sorry.
Minus the micro part. I mean, advanced part. Minus the advanced part.
Right.
Just micro devices. All right, so on the quarterly, we put in this doji candle after a little bit of a move down. We corrected towards this top 38.2%. Now we're basing off of this 5 EMA and this mean line right here. We have a statistical probability of going towards this top 38.2%, which lines up with this mean line, which is at about between $184 and $188. Right now, our HPDR momentum is flipping down, while volatility is flipping down as well. So that should tell us that we should be getting a corrective move. And right now, it's possible that the corrective move has already played out because we've already gotten this correction down towards the top 38.2%. So as long as we keep holding this 5 EMA, this momentum is going to reset and flip back up while volatility starts flipping back up as well. And that would coincide with us testing this top area. And possibly since volatility is resetting, that would give us enough juice to go up towards the 61.8%, which right now is at $250. Check the monthly. Monthly right now has closed back within the blue 38.2%, and we had a strong candle that closed back within it too. So now we're basing off the monthly 5 EMA, and we have a probability of going up towards this top 38.2%, which right now is right around $247.60, which lines perfectly. My bad, 248.44, which lines up perfectly with that $250 number that we just looked at before. And monthly HPDR momentum is starting to flip back up while volatility is down. So that gives us a statistical target of this median. And if we close above this bottom 38.2%, then that would take us to this top 38.2%. Weekly momentum is starting to flip down a little bit, while volatility is flipping down, which just tells us that this is a corrective move, and we're getting it right now. Basically, we just rejected the top 38.2%, and now we're testing the 5 EMA, and we're finding support at the 5. So as long as the 5 keeps holding, this momentum is going to start flipping back up, while volatility flips up too, and then we're going to have the probability of going back up and retesting these highs right up here, right around the 88.3%. That one is currently sitting at right around $226. 5-day momentum is starting to flip back up, while volatility is flipping up, and the jewel is above the pink and the yellow. The pink is not above the yellow. So this is a decent buy signal, but it's not as strong as it would be if the pink was above the yellow. And we're getting a correction towards this 5 EMA. So that's giving us a probability with a momentum flipping up of going up towards these previous highs, right around the 88.3 at about 219, 220. And then we should see continuation from there towards that $250 number. 2-day momentum is starting to reset with volatility resetting. We have not yet tested the median, but as long as we hold the 5 EMA, the median is probably going to move up. The 9. The median is probably going to move up before we test it, and then we can go back towards the mean line. But as of right now, the median is at $160. And what decreases the probability of us going down to test that median at 160 is because on the daily, HPDR momentum is flipping back up, while volatility is flipping up to support it, and we are getting a bounce off of this 200. What we want to see is in the next 3 hours, 25 minutes, us close over this 5 EMA and this top 38.2% at around $167. And then we would have a statistical probability of continuing from to the upside from here and not getting a deeper correction, probably towards this 95% at around $197. But that's not going to happen right away. This is going to take like a good amount of time to play out. Probably, I want to say 9 to 12 months for this to actually play out for that type of move. Could happen sooner, but very likely not. Let's check the RSI. So the quarterly right now does have a hidden bullish divergence confirmed, and we broke back into the bullish control zone. We tested it and found it as support. So as of right now, if we do close over this moving average, which is $170.73, we have a probability of hitting this bullish critical zone. That number is currently sitting at, good Lord, this probably is going to come down after the next quarterly open. I don't think it's going to go this high, but right now it's at $423.66. How much of a percent is that? 423. Yeah. 154% to the upside from here. But likely that number comes down. Monthly doesn't have anything, but monthly is forming a little bit of a head and shoulders on the RSI. We haven't we haven't activated it yet. For it to play out, we would have to close below this low right here, which right now this low is at 57. So let's change this to 57 to find out what price that is. $135. If we close below $135, it's going to confirm that that regular head and shoulders, and we would have a measured move down towards that bearish control zone. Let's reset this to default. And right now the bearish control zone sits. It doesn't even tell us. This number is going to move up because this is going to take a couple of months to play out. But right now, that number is at $28.57. It's very likely not going down towards $28. This is probably going to go up all the way up towards maybe around $100, maybe the low $100 area. I don't think it's going to be $28. Weekly has a confirmed 3 drives of bullish divergence in the bearish control zone, and we're getting kicked out of the bearish control zone. So right now, and we're basing off of the middle and the neutral zone and the moving average. As long as this continues to play out and we don't lose this previous candle open at $163.10, we would have a probability of hitting the bullish control zone. Right now, that number is at $215.94. It's going to come down a little bit because it's going to take a couple of weeks to play out. But as of right now, it's $215.94. 5-day also has 3 drives of bullish divergence in place, and we're basing off of all of our major moving averages and the moving average of the RSI, which gives us a probability of that bullish control zone as well. And on the 5-day, it sits at $219.23. 3-day, no, that's invalidated. Daily currently does have bearish divergence in place, but we have hit our easy target of this 21 EMA and this 200 SMA sitting next to each other. And since they're both very significant moving averages and they're based right on top of each other, and we're getting a bounce there, it should act as theoretically should act as strong support. What we want to see to confirm this as a low is a close over this 9 EMA, which currently we are just above by a hair. If we close like this, then very likely this is going to mark our next local bottom, and we would have a target of these previous tops right here, which is around 186.61. And then that would make it more realistic for us to go towards that upper $200 area that we were getting from our higher time frame RSIs. So as of right now, it's looking like we're going to, on the daily, based off of the daily, we would get a little bit of a correction, which we have mostly gotten right now. And then towards the higher time frames, should be targeting somewhere in that $200 zone.
Not bad at all, good sir. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Is there anything else you guys want to add before we go?
No.
On an early Friday.
Have a good weekend, boys.
You too.
Have a good weekend. Feel better, bro.
Oh, thank you. You motherfuckers get some rest. I can't wait to thank whoever the fuck was coughing behind me for 2 hours. Oh my God. I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. All righty. I'll talk to you guys soon. Thank you.
Have a good one.
Bye. Vale, pues. Vamos a cerrar esto con el análisis de AMD. Normalmente nos quedamos otra hora, pero también si quieren, dense una vuelta al Discord. Ya saben que es absolutamente gratis para poder platicar más de esto con todos los demás integrantes de la comunidad. Son miles de ustedes, así que gracias. Me ando muriendo. Hay un cabrón, estaba tosiendo ayer como perro en la cola y obviamente no me había enfermado en años, pero no me duele nada. Nada más tengo una puta congestión deliciosa y aparte estornudos. Pero bueno, vamos a ver AMD rápidamente. En todas las temporadas AMD se ve bastante fuerte. Lo puedes ver simplemente por dónde están los promedios y lo arriba que está de los promedios, además de que está 9, 21, 5, etcétera. Este es un gráfico trimestral para que sepan y lo tengan en mente. También por encima del 5, contundentemente y rotundamente fuerte. Nos vamos acercando un poco más en la mensual. En la mensual vemos un poco de lo mismo. Podemos ver que pudimos romper esta resistencia que tenemos. Nos da este movimiento hacia arriba, donde el 9 cruzó el 21 hace años, literalmente el 1 de mayo, y sigue teniendo esta fuerza. El precio a la alza. Hemos estado viendo que hicimos este bajo más alto y este bajo más alto, lo que nos está poniendo en esta situación. Lo único que no hemos podido crear es un nuevo alto. Tenemos esta resistencia en los 187 que se ve bastante sólida, la pondría yo acá. Sería mi siguiente objetivo después de que podamos romper la zona en donde estamos. Nos acercamos más en todos los indicadores de momentum y volatilidad de Farhan. Nos están diciendo que en temporalidades largas tenemos una probabilidad de que el movimiento siga extendiéndose y de continuación a la alza, pero en temporalidades cortas lo que estamos viendo es que iba a haber un retroceso. El retroceso es lo que estamos viendo y lo que hemos vivido. Podemos ver que el 9 ya trepó sobre el 21 en la semanal. Eso nos da nos indica que hay fuerza detrás del precio, pero lo más fácil es en la diaria. Nos acercamos y podemos ver esta zona donde el 200 y el 21 se están juntando en los 162. Eso sería una zona donde esperaríamos que fuera el fondo de este movimiento correctivo que tiene a corta temporalidad, y ahorita estamos encima del promedio de las 9 en 166.51, el promedio de las 9 está en 166.43. Con tener un cierre diario por acá, encima del 9, nos vamos a sentir muy bien, pero en realidad no perder solamente el promedio de las 200 en los 162 va a ser la clave al éxito, y también eso nos lleva a no romper esta estructura que está formándose, esta estructura alcista, para poder crear un mínimo más alto y poder seguir empujando hacia la alza. Así que AMD se ve bastante bien, tiene muchísima fuerza. Nuestro siguiente, lo que queremos ver esta semana es un cierre tal cual donde está. Eso nos haría sentir muy bien de dónde estamos parados. De aquí la siguiente resistencia está en los $170. Una vez que rompas los $170 y confirmes por acá, van a ser los 174. De los 174 quieres romper estos altos en 186 y de ahí aire limpio hasta los 200 y cacho. Así que ahí lo tienen, AMD para todos ustedes. Bueno, voy a ir a morirme solo aquí en la esquina, pero gracias a todos por estar viendo el Casino del Tío Salo. Vamos a estar aquí el lunes, ya lo saben. Si van a estar de generosos el fin de semana, me refiero a las tablas, dense una vuelta a nuestro Discord que está aquí en la descripción del video. Gracias a todos ustedes por su atención, pórtense bien y nos vemos pronto. Como de que no, carajo. Oigan, pues.